We're live, baby. What a hot mess. Oh my God, I'm such a hot mess today. Forgive Babaji. Natalie, I sent you the link. I'm so sorry. I emailed it to you. Woo! What a day. What a day. Oh my goodness. It's really God's day. I've been meditating all day. Not all day, but like just, you know. Yeah, no, but we're here to call rehab. This is going to be a banger episode, actually. I've been waiting for this episode for weeks. Natalie Grand is back. Thanks, Jimbo. Jimbo. There you go. Hold on. How's that volume? Can y'all hear the music? There we go. Natalie Grand is here in the waiting room. Thanks, Natalie. So sorry. Oh, my God. Oh, it's so much before the show. I'm just like, oh, my God. We're doing the show today. Oh, God. Did I get the notes? And then today I also got this book from also on the same episode that Natalie Grand did, I got this book from Vishal, ex-Scientology. Eat, move, and be healthy. He mailed this to me. He just bought it and sent it. Paul Check. Look, it's like a manual. Oh my God. It's got diagram. Oh my goodness. I love these human life. And it's like human life, but there's diagrams. This is great. This is exactly what I need. Oh my God. What was that? I love it. Diagrams. This is the kind of book that I need to write one day. You know what I'm saying? Hold on a second. Stay right there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Natalie Grand is here. Cult Rehab, episode 4. Ah, what a wild summer, people. What a wild summer. Jimbo says, we love you. Thanks, baby. Love you. Bolt is here. Yeah, get funky with that music. We're going to start in like 2 minutes. I'm going to bring Natalie on. There's so much to talk about today. I can't believe all this anti-abortion stuff. It would be rude of me to just bring that on Natalie right now, but listen, we have a lot of JW expose coming up in the episode. So if you're going to get all triggered on them, you know what I have to say to you?
What can I say? Tough titties.
What can I say? Tough titties.
What can I say? Tough titties.
I didn't even say it. Ma Ananda said it. Look at that soundboard, eh? Did y'all hear that? Y'all heard that? The music, everything. We are just going through so many changes here in the ashram. The ashram is growing every week. We have some great guests coming up too. Next week, we have comedian Chris Robinson. That's going to be a great episode. And then the week after that, Natalie's friend is coming. That's 2 more XJWs in a row. Listen, we're going to get the Buddhists too, okay? Just cool it. Don't worry. I've messaged the Buddhists. The Shambhala Institute, you're on the target. You're on the radar. Shambhala. Enough of this. And they're in Canada too. And they're vicious, man. And the 2 girls, there's already a video. I messaged them. There's already a video of them up just like talking about it, about all the crazy stuff they did. So that'll be coming up too. I'm just figuring out how and when to book them in a way that's like safe for them too. So just stay tuned for that. But next week, Chris Robinson, banger, a great comedian. So funny. And yeah, he was in Jehovah's Witness and Black. That's always, you know how I was saying last week, when you get someone out of the race, that's double karmas. You know, the community's giving you, the community's saying, well done. You brought one of theirs. That's good. You know, like Vishal, like when Vishal was saying his dad, it's like, damn, dude, got a Hindu. That's some good sales reps. But yeah, thanks, Vishal. Love you, man. And today we have a very special guest, author of Cult Girls, coming on to talk today about so much more Jehovah's Witness shenanigans. And listen, like I said before, okay, if you have a problem with that,
What can I say? Tough titties.
And that's it. I also have this one.
Wow, we're just a little buttercup, aren't we?
Getting offended. But hey, without any further ado, welcome our very special guest. Honestly, our biggest episode we've ever done. And really our inspiration to pivot into cult rehab and to really do it full time, because what fulfilling work. It is very rewarding and it's very nice to do this. And thank you so much, everyone who's watching. I appreciate you. I love you. And yeah, no, it really does. Like, as a comedian, what do we do? Do a joke. You tell the joke. Who cares? We're making a difference here, people. These are some goddamn good karmas. Make sure you do your karmas, by the way. Like, subscribe. I made a list for you. See what I did? And most importantly, be joyful in life. And most importantly, you have to dance. Yes, of course. Listen, if you don't do it, then the cult leaders win. That's how they get you. They all have these banger programs, you know, or it's like suppress and then they get you another way. Anyway, Natalie Grant has been in the waiting room. She's here for you. I'm very excited to bring her on. Second time, really the only second time guest on the show. Give it up for Natalie Grand, everybody. Natalie.
Hi, I'm so excited. I love your show.
Thank you. That's so nice. This comic, it's so tight.
I got mine here just in case.
Landry, who was in the Nityananda cult, which I don't know if you saw that episode. What a psycho.
Yeah.
He's a maniac, eh? He's actually silly. He almost makes me jealous a little bit as a comedian, where I'm like, we should be doing those bits.
Yeah, I learned something from the show, and I'm really proud that she comes out. It takes a lot of courage to get on these channels, so I would love to hear more about her story.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, no, and you know what? Actually, I was talking to her too, and maybe the three of us need to get to talk about this because I've told you before, I am a Canadian Screen Award winner. And a writer, and she has actually a great pitch for a TV show that she told us about on the show. And I was telling her we should just write it, and we do probably need to get some artwork done. You know what I'm saying? So I think it would be good for the culture. You know,
it would. I mean, it's hot right now. People are. It is like the other show. I didn't think about it, but it is like being scammed, and I think that's why so many are ashamed that they were either born or they were converted into a cult for a short time. It's like being part of a scam artist, and it is embarrassing because you've lost a portion of your life.
Yeah. Well, Sarah was saying 9 years. Oh my God. Yeah. And he was making her do comedy bits and like all these routines and stuff.
Yeah, and you could have been doing your own passions or thinking of your own causes, but instead you're doing the gurus. There's a guru always in one of these.
I have to do the guru. The guru has called me. I have to do what the guru said.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of stuff from you about wait, what can people see right now? Oh no, wait a minute.
This is a child story. This is what we grew up on. This is the foundation.
Can you hold on?
This is Jacob sacrificing his son. So this is like there's a book I sent the cover of it. It's the children's Bible story book.
Yep.
And this is what all women or all children bring to the Kingdom Hall because they worship with their parents. And so they're learning about things as a little kid, such as oral sex, words like pornography, because they're sitting in instruction with their adults. And sometimes instead of listening, they can't there's no nursery that they go off to and learn about what a great person Jesus was, but they have to look at this violent children Bible story book, and it's still around. And this is only one of the pictures. So it's like, this is a guy sacrificing his son to Jehovah.
Yeah.
It's like, is God really like that? It was just a test. I mean, Jehovah was just testing him. So it's like, as a kid, it's really hard to understand this story.
You know, he is like the cult leaders, isn't he? God, like this God, like it is like a cult leader mentality, like because that's what they're always doing. They're always playing little games.
Like there's tests everywhere, and so I mean, it's a very violent book. There's some other pictures in there.
Oh, there's so many actually. Well, this I like this kind of artwork. I find this very inspirational, and I want to incorporate more of this in my loving kindness meditation. But then there's also stuff like this, you know.
And notice these are white. There's a lot of minorities in this, mostly minorities in this organization. But why are the leaders white? And why is there no women? Because in the scriptures, they say that the men and women will be part of the 144,000. And this is Jesus here. But but I don't see the women ruling. And I only see white Caucasian old men. And they're not even allowed to have beards. So why are these leaders allowed to have beards? There's just a lot of
Jesus is definitely brown, right? Like he's definitely like Egyptian looking, like, you know, like brown.
Yeah.
Because Israelis are white, but they're from other countries, I feel like everyone there is brown.
I would feel more comfortable. There was red flags when I was a kid, and that's why, you know, they don't really encourage you to do the study of evolution, because when you start to study ancient humans and you start studying races, none of this is correct. And it's like this in a lot of religions, a lot of cults that are, but I'm always shocked that the people don't say anything about the artwork, that the parents so blindly don't pick and choose. They just absorb it all. And it is very robotic thinking. So you can't,
my mom loved this too.
Family say, I don't agree with this. You would be kicked out of the church.
It's interesting. Like my mom loved this stuff too. When I was a kid, I would bring them home and she treated it like another Hindu book. Like the Jehovah's Witness book, the Watchtower, she treated it like, no, that is a God's book. That is for God, and have respect for it. And like, it wasn't like no insult. And she would see this stuff and be like, yeah, well, everyone's a sinner. That's how she thinks. It's
That's
crazy. Like
funny.
she doesn't even need to, like, with no training. She just sees this. She sees everyone getting killed or whatever. Like she'll see a picture like that and she'll be like, yep, everyone's a sinner. That's what they get. Everyone's engaging in sinful activity. So yeah, God's going to have to do something.
And that's sad to me. Only a fragment of these people are supposedly supposed to make it into these to the through the Armageddon.
144,000? It's not enough.
Well, that's the leaders.
We need to update on this.
But yeah, there's only the people that really like got studied. They're pretend they say that it's like Noah's Ark. You know how Noah was in that story. There's only a few people, only the family, and they supposedly preached across the whole world, which the world was probably just a little small portion to them. But they keep saying that as a kid. It was like, oh, we're warning people of the flood, and only very few will make it. So we're always thinking we're maybe not making it.
Right.
And that's where the discipline comes in as a child. So yeah, and then we're looking at scenes like this every day.
Right. So as a kid, they're really teaching you these like vicious stories. I'm not familiar with this one, and I'm very familiar with Bible stories. What's this one? What are they doing?
This was a King Solomon story inside the Bible story, but this just shows the pictures, like a baby's being cut in half. That's the mother there going to King Solomon. It was two mothers that were claiming that was their child, and you're trying to understand these stories as a little kid. There's another one we learned about rape really early in life of Dinah. She was friends with some outsiders and she got raped, and it showed her like with a tambourine, and I guess she was dancing. And so if you hang out with the worldly kids, you're going to be raped. And these are stories the kids are hearing at a very young age. So this is, I think, inappropriate for children.
It's a hard
stories. You cannot explain this situation that God is loving, and this is some kind of good. This is a good situation. We're supposed to be thankful for this story right here, because God was so loving. He,
that's so wild.
In front of our eyes.
Like everyone does assume God's mean, and like when you talk about a loving God, when you talk about like loving kindness practice and a loving God, people are like, "What are you, stupid?"
Yeah,
he's mean. He's gonna mess you up. He's gonna like punish you and do all this stuff. It's just with the 144,000. It's like, guys, raise the number. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
You got to move with the times a little bit. I got to say, Jehovah's Witness, for the numbers, it's got to be so archaic. Like, I mean, it's just such backward. Like, it just seems like they're like pushing really old ideas that like, how is this gonna work?
Yeah. This is more of the leaders. These are the rulers judging over us. Like they look angry, stern, mad at the world. There's just a lot of anger all the time.
Stern white men, just nice conservative white men saying,
just put one black guy in there. It's like,
no, these guys are legalized abortion.
I know.
So ridiculous.
I just think they're funny when you said that, because we all knew it, but to see somebody else look at our public literature, because they're also placing this stuff door to door and trying to recruit people off this artwork.
This is a generic conservative mentality, though. That's why I think it's so easy for my mom to see this and be like, oh yeah, like we have stories like this too, where like just because Hinduism is open source, anyone can just make their own thing. And there's been some banger like Hindu ones that are like just offshoots that are like violent, like the Om Shinrikyo gang in Japan. Like they did like terrorist attacks and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's like you can find it in every religion. Yeah. But the conservative thinking, it is very similar. And it is probably that kind of like legalized abortions. Well, is it time to go back?
Yeah.
Let's start, right? I don't know. If they let trans people do it, then we got to go back. Then it's like they think that all that's like sin. It's all being tallied up. And then one day Armageddon's coming. Yeah, because we're all a bunch of sinners. It's too bad that people believe that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, like you believe in a loving kindness God, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm much more positive. I think like if you tell people they're good or we're just working on, I just don't like all of this condemnation all the time. And that they literally tell you that you're a slave, you're good for nothing. not to trust yourself. But yet you're supposed to trust these leaders through constant enlightenment. They did say that the end was coming in the 70s, and it's in print from their own publications. But then they want to go back and change history all the time, say, no, it wasn't. But they take those out of the library.
Oh my God.
Yes, they change history.
At this point, you got to learn, like, don't put hard numbers down. You got to have an out on these end of the world dates, because you start doing 4 or 5 end of the world dates, you start looking like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, they've done it a lot since the early 1800s when Charles Taze Russell started. And he even said that there wouldn't be new light, that it would only be an addition. And he was kind of like agnostic before he started. He was just a businessman that had like they were able. This was a printing business. So they made money off of these publications. And there was kind of like a movement at that time of people were the Miller Lights and the Christian or the
Miller Lights, like the beer.
But they were all predicting the apocalypse and the rapture. Wow. So he was just kind of jumping on the bandwagon, and he was an editor, and they had some money. So it kind of played into this.
This is so interesting that you almost have to become your own media company. I don't know who was telling us this last time, but like you are like a lot of these, like that's why even L. Ron Hubbard, like he's a science fiction writer and he's very prolific. And I think his thinking with Scientology was like, I'm such a banger writer. Instead of just writing different short stories that are going nowhere, why don't I just write a religion and then I'll take their money like that?
Yeah, he was Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I mean, you can see some similarities, definitely. Jehovah's Witnesses is a lot larger, but they're copying things from the Scientologists now. It isn't the religion I knew as a kid, because it's becoming...
Really?
Yeah, somebody in marketing changed a lot, and some of the foundations I feel have changed. With their marketing, and they're more into that branding of jw.org. And before, we weren't allowed to even wear anything that symbolized anything for the religion, and they said it was idolatry. But now they're doing it, and they're doing like banners on trucks, and they're doing booths just like Scientologists do. A lot of the same things. Their marketing is the same as Scientology.
Well, let's look at some of the marketing material, actually. Can you see this right now, the jw.org?
Oh, yeah, that's the Armageddon and the cracks in the earth. Yeah.
No, this is
what all Jehovah's Witness kids went to bed at night thinking about. Or if they saw like a scary movie, this is what they're like, this is what Armageddon's going to be like. There's fire, there's cracks in the earth, and
yeah. Are you saying they're moving away from this and going for more?
No, this is the same. This is the same. And every time 9/11 kind of pulled me back in, because that was supposed to be the end. COVID, I heard for some, they thought that's the end. They take symbolism and say it's like Gog and Magog, and some think the Ukraine. So there's always like an event, and then they think that Armageddon's right around the corner.
Right. Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of Gurujis jump in on Ukraine already and be like, yes, it is said that the red dragon will support the white bear in the east, or something like that. Like, we wrote this 200 years ago. This is all prophecy.
And then the fulfillment doesn't come, and then they change it again.
Change it up. You got to change up.
This is in the Bible storybook. So this is another, the stone. This is like in one of my meetings, I was told that I could be stoned. So these are, and I remember just feeling like, wow, crushed by this. But this is normal behavior inside the Jehovah's Witnesses. We're growing up on this stuff, and you're telling your children. I mean, it's in the curriculum that if you were in these times, you know, this was some scene. I can't remember what it was, but they're violent scenes.
I mean, they're gonna crack this guy's head.
Your life is being spared if you sin and they forgive you, whatever it is, like smoking, or you watched a rated R movie. So
it is so mean. This one I find very passive aggressive. Some of these Old Testament stories, and the Hindus have so many of these mean passive aggressive stories, and they're like kind of like mean to women specifically. Like, there's so many big Hindu epics that the end of moral of the story is that women ruin everything. Like, but it's like they didn't do anything. They didn't have freedom.
Yeah,
so the whole thing, it's all the men
this
doing
story is very famous, and every Jehovah's Witness knows one. This is Lot's wife. She turned away and looked back at her old friends in this city called Sodom and Gomorrah. And Sodom and Gomorrah was, to Jehovah's Witness, was the evil, sexual homosexual. This is how Jehovah felt about homosexuality. And so Yeah, so these are just the thing. They're running for their life. And this is what it's going to be like when Armageddon comes. If you look behind at your house, at your personal possession, at your family that was left behind, this could be you. This could be your final test, because after paradise, or after Armageddon, there's more tests coming. There's this situation, and then there's 1,000 years, then Satan's going to be dragged out 1,000 years later, and you're going to be retested again.
They really know how to wake the people up. They're like, wake up, people. They could just spy them like, wake up, people. Armageddon is around the corner. Idiot.
Well, think about it. On cults, is there a lot of tests? Do you have to go through a lot of things? So life isn't easy. It's always a struggle. And why does it have to be this way? Why are we constantly struggling? We can enjoy this life.
Yeah, we
can
should
help
be enjoying
others
it
from the bottom of our heart.
No, we it's actually like opposite, and it's weird. Every religion has like a loving kindness department, and I do think that's the advanced class, and then they have just departments that go all the way down into like terrorist kind of stuff, but like they just have these vicious departments, like these vicious like ways of like translating everything that mean like, okay, well, even in these like Jewish neighborhoods in New York, if you're a girl and your arms are showing, they'll run after you. They'll they'll throw stones at you. Yeah, they have like a big there, like the here's the thing, right? Like
I did hear about that in the country.
What's that?
I said I did hear about that in the country, just the way women are treated and their modesty.
It's crazy because if you go to Brooklyn, like in Brooklyn, New York, like the most expensive real estate probably in the world, there's like a Mennonite Jewish community, and they live like this. They're
yes. I watched a show about this. Absolutely. And the kids they actually take women's pictures and cut them out of the publications. Wow. I mean, they can't even look. They're so screened. And that is like a kind of a cult checkbox to me too, when you're controlling their, like we weren't allowed to really do, or it comes from the top of social media was kind of frowned upon, and internet, and you can only watch G-rated things. Yeah, there's a lot of screening of your, even your reading material. And that's why many are in homeschool. You don't have to deal with sex ed. That was addressed.
Then you control the narrative. Full brainwash.
Yeah. And we don't have to talk about evolution, which I think evolution, I can't deny. They're finding Neanderthal. That's covered in my book, Neanderthal in people's blood. How do you explain that as a Jehovah's Witness, that we're all these modern humans today?
Yeah, no. And it's just so weird that they're so offended by it. It's like, God can still be real, and we still could have come from monkeys. It's fine. What's this fight? Like it's always got to be a fight with but it's same with Hindus. Like it's like the guys who go around on Valentine's Day in India. There's like these Hindus, professional cock blockers. Valentine's Day, they go around. They're like, hey, no girlfriend, boyfriend. Like they'll just like break girls apart, guys and girls apart. They'll beat the shit out of people. They're crazy.
Oh wow!
I know, it's so sad. I don't think they're as strong anymore. But yeah, it's horrible.
That's how
this is so mean. This is the pillar of salt. It's like such a little thing. Like, she just looked back, man. Cool.
But I mean, think of these messages they're sending as a kid. Like, this is a woman, and so what? She looked back. She maybe had a human emotion, and that's the thing. It's like she wasn't allowed to look back. It's like clearly she left. I don't know. It's just
she loved her family so much. She couldn't take it in her heart. She said, "Oh, are they there?" And the salt is so sad, because the salt is like, you're nothing. You're like just dissolved.
Yeah, you mean nothing. Exactly. And that's the way they treat their family that leaves and their friends. They mean nothing, and they're dead. So
look at this guy. He's look, you puny weakling, you mean nothing.
This is the story in Genesis. This is I always like this picture. It's like he's grabbed, like these are intimidating men. And I don't know. I mean, even if you don't know the story, why is a 3-year-old looking at these graphic scenes? Do they have to be like this?
Wow. That is the mentality of like, gotta toughen them up.
These are burned in our head.
Yeah, this is basically
that's the Nephilim. That's the Nephilim that came down. They were raping women. We knew a lot about this stuff when we were little kids. Yeah.
They're like giants, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this in line with the Anunnaki? Because I like the Anunnaki theory that's coming out, that people are saying that like the spiritual community is actually getting into this now. because they believe in giant
Oh.
aliens that started our race, and they were
Yeah,
some of them
I
were
have
abusing
heard
us.
that theory before.
Yeah,
They just think
Anunnaki.
that it's God came down with the women and had sex with them, and then, but I think that might be in the scriptures. But I really only read their translation when I was
Man,
young, so.
this is such a
But
short
it's
man
like,
syndrome.
why do children need to know this? I mean,
Yeah, why do children need to see this like fantasy of a short man who couldn't get laid? And then he goes, it's because they're like the devil, the Nephilim, you Nephilim. It's like, dude, tall guys get laid.
exactly,
Like, work on it, you know?
exactly. It should be banned. It should be banned from kids seeing this stuff.
It's got to be. It is like a traumatized short guy back in the day.
Yeah,
Just
they
being
won't
like,
want to play video games, but they can read this during the Watchtower study.
that's wild. Yeah, the comic. Well, this is another one. They
Yeah, it's
reused
the
that one
same one.
obviously
Yeah,
over
yeah.
here. This is like more modern graphics.
Yeah, that
Interesting.
one's kind of new. Yeah, that's staying with your family. These
This
are
is
the
again
bad
like
people.
my mom would see this and be like, yeah, yes, alien being dead.
We would always stare at these. Like it just like these things just were like, this is what we thought the world was like. And
Yeah.
but the sad thing is that the Jehovah's Witnesses were doing some of this stuff too. They were abusing substances and
Not who's doing blow
so
at
it's
the
like the
Jehovah's
drug
though?
thing. Not everybody on the outside is doing these things.
No, yeah. But but you cannot tell me that inside JW that they're just doing lines of coke.
Well, a lot of the teenagers were there was a lot of depressed teenagers, so I did see a lot of drug abuse.
Wow, inside
They
the
were
JW.
very dysfunctional, a lot of angry kids, a lot of secret lives. So I'm seeing on the outside, this isn't exactly what I'm seeing on the outside, but it's just fear tactics as well. That if you leave the
Classic.
world, yeah, they're all doing this. And then the blood transfusion. So why are they
Oh
doing
yeah,
this?
this is.
Like, how is a blood
I thought this was an
transfusion
AIDS
the same
reference.
as a terrorist attack? It's like
Yeah,
with the starving kid. It's just
you got everything here. I mean, you got a nuclear
do
bomb in
this?
the back too. The
Oh
nuclear.
yeah, the
you got the
atomic
nuke.
bomb. I think this might have been in the 80s because that was kind of the fear of the
Coke
atomic
is
bomb.
like aggressive looking too. It's like so rude. Like even like you. It's just so bad. Coke. I feel like you know what
Well,
I
I
mean. Like
learned these
it's
things
not like
from the
popping a
Jehovah.
pill.
I mean, I didn't do it, but as a kid, I knew now what this is.
No, I know
Because
too.
this
And
is
like
our
people do it.
material as a little girl. I now saw a guy doing a line of Coke. I wasn't allowed to watch a rated R movie, but I got it straight from their gurus.
they're like you go to see rated R movies. Like, why do you want to see that? Just read the book. We got all the
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
We got all the sinners. I like this. I want to make more graphics like this for myself. The ancient days, multitudes before him.
I just like that Jehovah's this white guy. I don't know. I just can't get over it.
He's
We're adding
daddy.
this isn't maybe a newer one. I see a little diversity now to the left. I see a dark guy and I see a guy with brown hair. So I think they're
These-
moving forward. Oh my goodness, I see a woman in the back. This is the first. So they're kind of like
Are you seeing a woman?
adding.
Oh, I see a woman
Yeah.
over here on the
Yeah.
angel side. I see a woman.
Yeah, this one's a more recent one.
Interesting.
I
But
just
it's
threw that
interesting.
in there.
If you look, the angels are white and they're up here, and then I guess they have these these immigrants are over here. Like they
Yeah.
have some new immigrants that are like, in one day, even they will be angels. But right now, the
Yeah.
angels are up here and they're looking like they're
Yeah.
maybe. I wonder if it's like a higher up or something. That's so weird. But yeah, this side is all like this is a black guy, brown. Yeah, this looks so almost all people of color on this side.
Yeah, they
Interesting.
are. Well, their governing body is 7 white men and 1 black guy. And somebody said that they had to do that because they do get like grants and lending and stuff that they might have had to do that for some kind of
The diversity grants.
Yeah,
they see the
had to-
diversity grants.
like there'll always be that one black guy in there. But before that, it was all white men. And this is an international religion. So they pride themselves in being in all these countries. But I always just think it's weird that, that Jehovah is a white guy, and same with Jesus.
Always white. Yeah, they always make them white. Yeah,
Kind of a red flag to me.
It is a red flag, but then you're going to countries where maybe people like because of colonialism, like they want that because the shade is there.
It might be, but I
So
don't
sad.
know. Yeah.
That's
Well, they
too
might
bad.
be impressed because the Kingdom Hall is being built or they're getting some attention, but
Yeah. But they are
do
like
have
hicks
these
sometimes. Like
countries.
there's this Indian restaurant by my house, and when I went alone, the guy would just be like, "What do you close, whatever?" And if I went with a white girl, he'd be like, "Oh, madam." Like, he'd come running to get our bit. It's like, bro, Just cool it.
That's
Like,
what maybe. Yeah, well, they have no shame in it, so yeah, it must be working then.
it is that shade. It's like showing them that like, well, this is what you guys did. Like this is a part of the sales tactic. Oh,
Yeah.
this is I remember seeing this one as a kid. This is a classic vintage.
Yeah, this one, the flood, the people shrieking. Yeah, this is just
Flood and
every
fire.
week. We were learning about Armageddon, so yeah.
You're just a kid. You're like 5 years old. And if you have sex,
these are probably secular people that like work in the real world. Like secularism is like bad, it seems like. I don't know. They make it look that way. Like if you're a businesswoman or something.
Yeah. Well, look at this lady looks like she's wearing pants.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to wear pants, or do you have to wear a skirt or something?
You have to wear a skirt for worship, or if you're doing their field service, and they just won't change on that, like we talked about before. So I don't get it. I just don't get how 100 years you can't wear a pants.
You know, like,
and it could be like really cold outside, and you still got to wear those skirts. It's like,
and those skirts go right down to the ankles, right?
Yeah. Well, it's lower. Yeah, it is advised, kind of like the calf. They don't want your knees showing. There's a lot of unsaid things. You got a slit. You're showing your knees. So yeah, there is like a dress code.
But
so
there
I spot them at a restaurant and stuff. I'm like, oh, they're Jehovah's Witnesses. I could just tell by their clothes versus a Mormon. It's very subtle, but I can tell the difference.
Oh, interesting. The Mormon's a little risque. They'll show an ankle. They'll flex that ankle in public.
I feel like the Mormons are a little more stylish when I see them.
Okay.
They wear a longer sleeve shirt, but the men seem a little more stylish. It's more like a British look, it looks like.
Damn.
So it's weird. I can tell a difference. And then the Jehovah's Witness will wear more like plain Jane. They'll wear more like short sleeves, and they're not allowed to.
Oh my God.
The Mormon. So I can tell which one.
We got to see the trailer for this Mormon. Oh, is it Mormon Next Door? Have you seen the picture of him with his sister wives? It's like 25, and he's like this. He's like he's like, and it's 25 women going from like.
Oh, I've seen a lot of documentaries on them. Yes.
The Next Door. Oh my God, what a maniac!
That is too funny.
He's so silly. They made a show. I think it's on HBO or on Oprah, but they made a documentary about it.
Oh, I'll have to watch that one.
Mormon. I don't know. Polygamous mafia. Oh my God, there's so many.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what the reason why I was like thinking about that is like yeah, the Mormons got to be sexy. You got to keep that harem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The area. I think like if they're in my area, they look more modern, but those are like the fundamentalists that are in Utah. And so I have seen other documentaries where a lot of those women are living in poverty and they're not getting educated and stuff. Now the ones like near me and more the city, they're a little more pro education. So you could kind of see depending on the area and if they're what group they're in.
I got to say, the Mormons seem very on top of their shit. After I saw like how Mitt Romney almost became president and how tight he is. And then from him, I saw this other millionaire, also a Mormon. So it's interesting, the different flavors of these cults. It seems like Mormons, first of all, I think the guy's got to be sexy. Because like, how many shows are there now of like the guy with like 4 wives? There's actually a Real Housewives show, but it's a Mormon. It's like a Mormon guy with 4 wives. There's
that's interesting.
Yeah, we got to find clips. We got to find clips.
We got
to do those clips.
I do not want that because they can barely handle 1 wife. So
yeah, 4 wives, eh? These guys are just like,
that might be a guy's nightmare, but another guy might think it's amazing.
Well, I think that's part of the identity. They're just like, I got 4. Like, if you ever watch
the kids are pretty that's pretty pivotal to their they feel like it's a privilege. Now Jehovah's Witnesses not so much, but if you go into their numbers of Jehovah's Witnesses, most of the people in it are born recruits. So so I feel sorry for the other people that are born into it, but that is a bulk of their people. And so that's why they're so hard, I think, on the families of this punishing and this these scenes that they're seeing. It's part of this control, and it's easier, I think, for them if they're just born into it.
You got to brainwash young. You got to brainwash young. Yeah. And then I guess the Mormons also have a system of like, their system of growth is huge, because if you just have one guy getting everyone pregnant, it's just like kids. And
Yeah.
then they're also like, they just seem like tight business people. Yeah. Whereas Jehovah's Witness, I mean, it's a different system. You know what I mean? Like,
There's a little difference. Like they're political, so that's why you will see them in like school boards. They run for a lot of local
yeah,
government, which I'm fine with. I've known
that's,
some.
they're in the community. They're in
And
the
they do,
community
at least
mixed
some
in.
of their women get educated, but some of the similarities are, I had a girl, I rent to single ladies, and she was studying with the Mormons, and her mom was against it because her friends in high school already bought their wedding dress in high school. They haven't found the man yet, but this marriage thing is put up here. And so
Wow.
as a worldly mom, she didn't like, and she told me that because I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I was like, yeah, I mean, this is part of the training when they're young, just like I was as a kid. It's all about
Yeah.
being married. So
Just like brown people, honestly, just like brown people.
yeah,
I actually have
yeah.
a clip I wanted to show you today, but I'll show you after this first set of pictures. But here's another one of this army of like white guys.
Oh, there's the Jehovah's Witnesses at the bottom with their meeting clothes on. They just look so the interesting part is they want to
Wow.
gather these people, and this is addressed in my book a little bit. They want to put them all together, and I just think logically it would be easier if they dispersed, like, and
Yeah.
not made themselves a target. But I guess they think that Jehovah's and his angel chariots are going to come out of the sky and save them. So these people are really, they're already like saving food and stuff. They have their go bags ready. I know.
That's so
It's been going on a
funny.
long time. I had one too. The only difference is that when I left 10 years ago, now they have videos out that are showing people they got to bunker down, and they're probably going to go to the Kingdom Hall that has one bathroom and no kitchen, but they are putting blind trust in this guru. And literally, I'm worried if they told him to jump off of a bridge. I told that to one person. I was like, you should research where are you going? And she couldn't give me an answer. She's like, I don't know where we're going. I said, but what if you're going to jump off a bridge? Wouldn't you want to know what
Yeah.
you're signing up for?
Yeah. So weird. So they're signed up for the bunkers. So they're making bunkers. You got like what kind of afterlife prepping we talking about, or after civilization?
Yeah.
Prep
Well, they're told to
work?
be obedient, and they're waiting for a call. They're waiting from a call, and the direction is going to come from these elders. These are appointed men by God. So
Right.
they're going to get some special enlightenment from the gurus. And it could be tomorrow, it could be in a week. Somebody told me that they go around and checked their go bags, and some people like make sure the food is fresh in it. They're ready. They're ready to abandon their homes. And sadly, a lot of them don't buy homes because they're thinking that's putting your trust in material things, because
Right.
they're ready. But the headquarters is building like a really large location right now, and it's like, yeah, but they're building things and setting up their future, and it's like, but you're being told not to prepare for your future.
Yeah, Babaji's buying all kinds of real estate. You're like, Babaji, don't do as Babaji do as Babaji say. That's such a. Of course, they're buying real estate. So then, it's so interesting. It's like I was saying this last time too. There's like these episodes of Star Trek, the old series, where they'd go down to this brainwashed planet. There's like 10 of these episodes. They'd go down to a brainwashed planet. It looks like a perfect utopia. Then at some point, but like there's always one weird thing, like they got to always make a sacrifice at this temple or something. They're like perfect utopia, but you make a sacrifice, and then that sacrifice is always weird. So then they break down the back door of the temple. This happens in like 6 episodes. They break down the back door. They go to the back, and then Spock is like, fascinating. This whole civilization is run by a computer, because they go to behind, and it's like, so basically there's like a curriculum, and it is a self-perpetuating machine, because whoever started this is dead.
Yeah, that is similar.
like what's happening here? Like what? So I guess if you're born into it, they're just teaching you to have ambition for. They're like, Jehovah's Witness will save you, because if you can make your way to the top, then you get to eat off of everyone else. I guess, is that how?
It's all about obedience. So you're not supposed to think for yourself. And there is robotic thinking. So if your question, if I went to go ask somebody about their policies and I already know their policies, you're going to get like this robotic denial comments. And I've done it before too. And so that's when you know it's it's the same thing, but you're supposed to be obedient. So it's like you accept the good and the bad, and you cannot pick and choose what you want to believe. So
they teach you obedience, but at some point you could have stayed in there, go to the top, maybe not as a woman, but like as a man, you could go in there, go to the top, and then what do you get to, like, are you running the organized, like, is there one guy at the top running it, or is it like a board?
That would be very challenging. First of all, their headquarters, there is information coming out. They do have a labor camp out there. And if anybody's curious, there is the Monica Hines versus Watchtower study. There was a child, she worked in the elevator, and she was a minor. She's not getting paid, and she was raped there repeatedly. And the governing body was apparently aware of it. It's still in litigation, but once it's completed, I think that it will be a movie, and it's very hard to get into their headquarters. There's been documentaries on it. They have guardsmen videotapes or surveillance, and you cannot get to these gurus, and these gurus are not voted in by the people.
Wow.
So they have to like and they're supposed to have some heavenly calling, and they're just hard to get out. So
and you don't know who.
and it's only 8 people.
Wow. So interesting to go to the top of your organization and like you don't even know who's really running it. There's 8 people, but then they're obedient. So it's like, you know what's crazy is like they don't even maybe even enjoy it. They're like, few more years, then I can leave.
Class to things they have now. Now, back in the day, they kept these people kind of a mystery. They didn't show any special attention to them. But this is where I think they kind of are like the Scientologists now. They have a JW broadcasting channel. So I never experienced that, but they have a drop down to you can have it in your home, and then you also go to your local church. That's what we would call it. And you can now see them. So they are like celebrities now. And they do Rolexes. They have Freemason rings, which is really ironic because they slam the Freemason community and call them part of the occult. And their founder, Charles Taze Russell, in the 1800s, he was a Freemason. And he even had like Freemason symbolism and mystical Egyptian stuff on his tomb. And just last year, they removed his tomb. So I think they're trying to change history. They want people to forget about Charles Taze Russell, their founder of the whole religion in the 1800s that predicted the end to come in 1914.
Wow. So there is inside changes. Like this is
yes.
the guy who wrote it originally.
And they change history. I feel they change history because they'll say, do not review the old library. They have a library that's in the Watchtower. You can go online, but it's only current publications. And when you die, they don't tell you that. A little interesting piece about their founder, Charles Taze Russell, he actually was divorced. He had an affair with one of the secretaries, and she was actually, her name was Rose, and she was a family because it was Charles Taze and his father. They were kind of a rich family, and they had a foster daughter. And so the wife claims, and there's periodicals, she even wrote a book, or it's a book about women equality. So I kind of think she's amazing that she wrote about women so early in time, but he was fondling the daughter in the locked room. And so I know. So this is their first founder. Yeah. I mean, this is his tomb. This was part of Bethel tourism. So people pay money or they give a donation and they say, give what would be like if you went to a hotel room. So there's big money on this tourism to visit Patterson location and in Brooklyn. And this is at one of their locations, but they removed it last year. So you can find this on the internet. It's called Charles Taze Russell's tomb. But you notice there's a cross on there, and they do not believe in cross. And and the fact that he's doing this after a pyramid, which they're against like ancient mythology. So it's kind of like
pyramids are hot in the meditation game too. Pyramid is a good energy channeler. It brings in energy.
I know people that are Freemasons. I mean, it could be your local postman. There's nothing. I think they're doing their groups and stuff. I don't see anything they're doing weird that's destructive into the community.
I actually like
these people, and it's in their roots.
Yeah, it's in their roots. Yeah, this is actually a very banger tombstone. I got to say, like, this is a size of a human being. Like, this is actually very
like very far to see this. And so
I think this is actually very cool thing to do.
Remove their museum of this item. Why are they hiding this now?
Oh, Jehovah's Witness making bad decisions.
Yeah, last year it was removed. This is 100-year-old piece, and Charles Taze played a role.
Sorry. Uh-oh. All right, everyone, make sure you
because they predicted it in that didn't come, and a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon.
Wow.
Religion was big business back in that day. So,
Oh, still is.
so
Still
this is history. This
big money.
doesn't just belong to, them. It's like people study this whole movement of that time period, and it evolved more than Jehovah's Witnesses. There was other branches.
Oh yeah, you're saying like it's not. You're saying it's even just rude to a dead person that like, let's just get rid of his tombstone. It's like this is some bad karmas. This is bad karma for sure. Where did they put it? Did they break it, or did they like at least?
No, I'm sure that information's all on the internet. I mean, there's a lot of information, but I just thought it was interesting that the history is trying to be changed, and I've heard of others having to bring in their old books from a long time ago because there's conflicting information in there. So it's like they're the new people. They don't want them to recognize these old things, but we remember this stuff.
Such a drama to be like, no, don't look at that. Where did you get it? It's just such a dumb move. Just bad moves. Like the Mormons, I don't think they're doing stuff like that. Maybe.
Yeah, well, the Mormons is very important. I'm watching a documentary on. It's out. It's only half out. It's Under the Banner Sky, after a book of a crime scene of the LDS community. But the guy I don't know how much of it's true, but the detective in it, he's starting to look at the roots of the LDS, and he has 2 daughters in it, and he's starting to have some doubts. So they don't want you looking into the history, or they're giving you a different version of the history because it could create some doubts, and that's why they don't like you reading outside material and associating. That's why the college thing comes in. So it's a great documentary for people that study cults. I love that crime.
Tell us the documentary name again.
It's Under the Banner Sky, and it's on Hulu. It's excellent. And it's a true crime story from the 80s, but the LDS. And I found a lot of similarities with Jehovah's Witnesses. The men that were in it, their wives, first of all, were just to have babies, and they didn't like them to go to college. And one brother, there was like a bunch of brothers, his wife wanted to be a journalist, and she was starting to do things. She wanted to go to college, and these other brothers really didn't want her around their wives. And they're like, well, we picked these, and she was attractive, but they're like, we picked these wives because they stay home with the kids. And one of them was seeing things in the family business, but he was using God over her. And I was like, this is the same crap I've seen in other cults. So definitely add that to your watch list, people.
Very similar tactics. Even I know guys that like I'm friends with, and like when they got married, their wives would be like, "You're not allowed to hang out with Amish because he's gonna go pick up like dancing, and you know what I mean." So they're like, "No, you're not allowed to hang out with these single guys."
Like fun is not good.
Some guys are not allowed. They're like get in trouble.
Yeah. They don't want you thinking. They don't want the girls to wise up. Some of them do anyways.
That's so silly. So is a Jehovah's Witness not the one where there's a guy on the top with a trumpet? That's not you guys, eh? Sorry, not you.
No,
Sorry,
that doesn't sound like us.
No, okay. There's a beautiful church because I thought Latter-day Saints was that, but is Latter-day Saints another one?
Latter-day Saints, you usually see like what I can see is a really tall temple. They use always like a really tall thing, but I think the trumpet, maybe that was old, but usually it's a watchtower sign like you kind of used it before. That's usually pretty iconic.
But Latter-day Saints is same as JW or no? They're different.
No, they're different. That's Mormons.
Mormon, right. That's Mormon. Okay.
Yeah. And also in that documentary, it goes into because they always were very involved in politics, and they have a history with the Native Americans and the land and stuff. A long time ago, I read about it. So, these are just interesting things. I think history is a wonderful tool so that we can learn from the past. But I do have concerns if a religion is hiding their roots. Like, why are you hiding this?
Yeah.
I mean, we should be able to think for ourselves on these things.
And it's just so sad to think of people being like, no, don't let them see it. Don't let them see it. It never works. Like it is this weird thing, even over here. Like, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about grooming right now in the news where a lot of conservatives are saying that their kids are being groomed in school because and then you go, like, you actually look at the example of grooming and it's like a gay kindergarten teacher being like, it's okay. I'm gay and it's okay if you are too. And these conservatives are like, groomer, you're grooming my kid. And it's like they think that it's some kind of a training or whatever.
Yeah, I have heard. Yeah, they've been using that lately. I mean, when I think of grooming, it is the like the molestation process. But even in the Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't, and that's in my book too. They don't really acknowledge the grooming process. I feel I've seen it personally in congregations. So if a woman isn't, and I'm saying, well, not a woman, like a girl doesn't scream and yell or something. And with the grooming process, there's a psychological, they may accept the thing because they're just feeling like helpless. And so that's not really acknowledged. And these are untrained people. So yeah, grooming, I feel.
I didn't quite understand that. So you're saying like the grooming process involves like the elders would push themselves on a girl, and then if the test was like you didn't scream hard, you didn't get mad enough.
Well, no, they have a judicial system, and this is what's coming out in these cases. There's a case that just finished in March, so a month ago. It's the Michael Pengava case, and basically it's two, and I can't remember the other brothers, the elders' name, but it's two elders, and they came across a case of sexual molestation, and this is very common. And what they did is they are not instructed to report it to the police because their first objective, they're sent from a letter. And I was a little girl at the Kingdom Hall, and we've gotten these letters that instructs the congregation that if there is child molestation or a case, it goes to the elders, and the elders call the branch, which is the society headquarters in New York. And these guys did that, and they told them not to report it to the police. And so this girl went on and got molested another 10 years or so. And she was a young sister in the congregation. And basically these elders were just obeying what it was. But the sad thing in the case is they didn't write down at headquarters the name. And there is online, you can look at it. There is, and I knew this, everybody knows it. There's a form you fill out if there's a sexual case, and they mail it to the headquarters. What do they do?
Oh my God.
Out in year 2014, Barbara Anderson, she is our hero on the movement. She worked at headquarters and saw, and there's like footage. Some people have taken a lot of the envelopes, but there's a database. And so you have to watch the documentary. It's called The Witness, but Barbara Anderson wrote a book, but she is a hero. And so these people, these elders, going to circle back, there's a judicial system for teenagers or even if it's a child, and they feel like that is above the law. So they are making decisions. And some of these predators that have later gotten prosecuted, because it takes a while for a victim to come forward, the elders have said things like, the predator has said, well, I was disfellowshipped. So they view that was their punishment, not the legal system of the land. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cases where they didn't come forward, and the parents don't either. And that's what's in my book. And so these are the policies. Now, if they change, that would be a different story, but they were in a different country, and some of these elders said that they would never change on their policies. And these are other policies like for a victim, they need to have 2 witnesses, and a lot of them don't have 2 witnesses on abuse. They may have bruises or other evidence, but that's not evidence.
2 witnesses? What's a 2 witness rule?
And I feel like they don't acknowledge other evidences. So
they didn't have rape kits? Like if someone has a rape kit,
that's not in the Bible. So that's not on their policies. And that's why they've been fighting for change. People are trying to make awareness, because if they can change the law or cut off some of their funding, like they did in Norway over their shunning policies on children, and we helped write letters to some of these other countries, then there's awareness. And so a lot of people are asking, they can have their religion, but please change your policies to acknowledge the grooming process. These girls and boys are giving sexual details as a minor to elders, and they're writing it down and keeping documents on them, and they're not warning others in the Kingdom Hall, or they're punishing them. They've gotten disfellowshipped they said that it's consensual. Yeah, so
Wow.
it has a lot of things about children, and that's why these shows and like the book they put out, mine isn't that intense, but it's really easy to find in these documentaries and
Yeah.
information on Google, because it would be nice to see changes to protect children, but some of them on the higher up said that they would never change their policies, sadly, because it's not in the Bible. And yeah,
Their numbers got to be. We're going to get into numbers in a second too, but this is, and then they have these like what is this kind of like some kind of a guilt?
this is a very
advertisement?
famous watchtower.
This
People
is like
show
a watch,
over it.
like
They've
some
used
kind
it
of guilt
multiple
reminder, like
times, the
don't
Jehovah's
quit.
Witnesses. This is some parents with their son, and this is how there's numerous parents in every congregation, and they are raising their hands and sharing this story and saying, my kid walked out at 16 or 18 because maybe they had thoughts of the same sex,
Wow.
or maybe, they it's their way or no way. And so look, he has his backpack, but they portray this as a young kid, maybe a minor or somebody that's a youth.
Yeah.
I've had kids, and sometimes they just don't grow up. Even at 18 or 20, they're still like little kids to me. And so these parents, why are you sobbing and stuff? I mean, get some help, get some professional help. There's family therapy you can go to, but they don't encourage this in the organization.
No
They
way.
don't encourage to piece families together. Like, I had issues with having a teenager, and I got professional help for my daughter that was shunned by family and friends too, because of a result of me, and heard some really bad things. And we got help. And thank goodness we have, like a medical system that encourages family healing and putting families back together. But this is a hero parent right here. There is people in there raising their hands saying, I'm a saint because I did this, and I haven't seen my son in 10 years because I'm being faithful to Jehovah. And these are the heroes of, and they're
This is
doing
so
this with the blood
sad.
transfusion too. They're making these people heroes, or they're playing victim among their friends. And they're like, oh, poor me, my kid was disfellowshipped, and there's shame on our family. And they get some attention because these are things you're allowed to talk about. You can't talk about your kid's success from college, or
No.
that she found love. That is not allowed to be discussed in
But also, they must be so sad. Like, it's so depressing when your kid
so
leaves.
unnecessary.
It's so unnecessary. But it's like this religion is acting like this ad is basically like, the parents suffer so much. Don't make your parents suffer. It's like you're making them suffer. You're not letting them, like, just tell them it's
This
fine.
poor guy
Like,
was probably on homeschool, and he just has his backpack, and he has to go find somewhere to live now. And he has no friends that are outside the Jehovah's Witness,
my
because
God.
you're not allowed to have that. And if he's dealing with issues of, I just saw a podcast or it was a channel on ex-Jehovah's Witness. I know you had Ed on there, but this guy was gay too. And he found out at 14, he never acted on it. And he was trying to go on Google to find, Google, and try to find a camp to turn him straight. And I guess it's been outlawed in Canada. There's a name for it. And I thought, how sad. He didn't even do anything. He doesn't even want to be gay. And so you hear these things. I have known homosexual people that didn't act on it, and they've been crucified by their family. And I thought it was sad. That guy wanted to change. He didn't want to be, what it is. But there's a lot of shame. And yeah.
That's too bad. There is some stuff in your comic book too. Let me share that. And then we're going to go to the numbers after this, because I do feel like it's important to show how bad their numbers are right now. And you did show me some examples of that.
And you can't even trust their numbers, I feel, because oh yeah, this one.
This is great.
I mean, there's a lot of, so I was listening on the podcast, and I believe it's true because I grew up with a lot of people I felt were gay. And one was even, I've had two family members, one that's come out and one I'm not sure about. But I'm just writing about what I experienced. And we knew, other children know and can tell that somebody's like they're not fitting in the same box that a Jehovah's Witness was. And I feel compassionate for these people. And what a Jehovah's Witness kind of might be an alternative, is send them to a life of celibacy to the headquarters, which is like they sign a poverty contract, and they may be celibate the rest of their life unless they find a sister that wants to live this like very impoverished life at headquarters of long hours of working on a printing press or picking blueberries with only making dollars a month.
So basically, like if they bring someone in, the system is like, if I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I want to marry a girl, they got to come in. The elders are going to make my girlfriend, my wife, do work for them. Is that what you're saying?
No, this is like, okay, so the first scene is this is me as a little girl with, I can tell that this boy is gay. He's like my friend, and he's gay, and he's kind of noticing in his adolescence at the Kingdom Hall, they're saying that homosexuals are not going to inherit God's kingdom. And he's like, wait, I feel, not everybody feels the same. And so the parents know, So they're basically telling him that, okay, it's either sinful, of course, for them. And then also that a lot of gay brothers, it just turns out, they pick celibacy. They stay in it. The ones that I think it's dysfunctional, but they cannot be open with their feelings. And they tend to work at the headquarters because they only accept single brothers, not single sisters. And so a lot of parents, and this is what they are.
They won't pick a single girl.
I saw it all the time. They're like, it would be God's privilege for you to work, and they call it spiritual paradise at New York. And there is becoming exposés on, there's a book by Keith Casanova, I think. And he speaks about the headquarters in the 80s and 90s. There's racial segregation, the poor pay. Many don't have cars. After working a very long day, they're having to go go on the subway and then go help at congregations. And they're watching other people have families and stuff and living happy lives, and they're not happy themselves. And I have visited over there, and I was a little taken back that the people didn't look that happy, because as a kid we were told this was a privilege, and it's so fun there, they're playing basketball, but really
being a virgin,
I just found out I saw the contract, they sign a life of poverty. So if somebody gives them a savings account like their parents or something, technically they're supposed to turn that over. And that sounds really culty to me. Like, why can't these people? And here's the other thing. There's a guy coming out and watching the World Channel, and he's an ex-Bethelite. He has a great show. And you could build your way in it and be kicked out in a heartbeat. And where do you go? Because they don't have you with the savings account. You're just totally screwed.
Like, Babaji, you took all my money. Where will I go? They take everything.
Yeah, they don't pay them. So, I mean, they pay them like very small, and it's not enough to get food.
It's like Osho. Like when people joined, they're like, I said, Babaji, just take everything. Just take all the money, Babaji. I'll follow you forever. But then, you can't kick them out. Like, they're working.
Yeah, and then they're in shared living quarters. They have complained about it. It's not like really nice or anything. And then I felt like the food was disgusting. So it's like, and they can't afford to do that. So they're really living like they kind of were told a tale by their parents to be laborers for this thing. And that's why I think that Monica Hines case of the child trafficking there is going to be really, it's going to be a real door open, like a real eye opener of what's happening.
Yeah, you sent me an article about that last week. I'm gonna grab. I can probably grab it in a second, but
yeah, because people talk about the Scientologists. They have a labor camp, but they do. I mean, these people are voluntary, but also their kids are. It's the parents. These parents are sending them over, and that's why I think there needs to be more awareness, because they're sending their fruits of their loins over to this place. And I would be. I mean, I wouldn't want to send, even when I was in it, it's not something I wanted to send my kids to.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. Hold on. Let me share this one. because you sent this link today as well. There's so much great stuff, Natalie. Thank you.
I
For
know I
coming.
have a lot of
I
information.
appreciate it. No, it's great. It's so good. It's actually incredible content, and it's like probably like the best hits we've been getting, and like
Well,
it's
anybody
really
that's
good.
been in a
important
cult,
work, you know?
research, read the things. Don't be blind. I mean, um, it is empowering, and there's wonderful, like I said, Barbara Anderson, this woman is making a difference to save children. And a lot of us women we're living in a great time of awareness.
Yeah.
And this is the call. We're changing laws, or maybe not me, but I know people are really pushing on the laws to open the statutory limit for victims, and they're being heard and they're being won, because this is inappropriate. So it's a great time if you're a victim, or if you don't want to tell your story. There's people on Discord, we're having groups, they're doing letters, there's just so much on an international. It's just like, pick your policy.
Yeah. There's actually so much work to be done, and it's weird. It's like they always teach this in Loving Kindness that like it actually is the best thing you can do in a weird way. Like it's actually good for you to do it, because it gives you like it'll make you feel better to help other people and stuff like that.
It does. Yeah. And you're really using, and that's why that cult psychology was like, we need to train our children young to use our brain and our thinking ability, because these people are not seeing danger. Like, it's like a scam artist. Sometimes you watch that show and you're like, how did that person get scammed? That beautiful woman, but she didn't see the danger or the signs. And so it could come in a business, it could come in a relationship. And so we need to teach them young to see that you can trust yourself, that we are more intelligent than we think. And so, and they're capitalizing on your need to wanting to like have peace, or like you want to be, when you're young, you want to be part of something. And so by these women coming out and speaking, or saying encouraging words, they can see that these people are doing things in the law and stuff to help children. I personally, there's a show about, and this goes beyond Jehovah's Witnesses, because I'm kind of like being pulled into the movement. I've been participating a long time, but we are trying to, as a community of all these cults, to come together to change laws, even about marriage, like child marriage. I feel a child should be able to sign. And as it is in many of these states, you could be 14 years old and you cannot sign. And so how sad that a girl can't even sign, and she could be getting raped at night. So it's like, but that's just one piece. So jump in.
When you say you want them to be able to sign, like, what do you mean? Like they don't let the women,
your parents sign. Your parents sign.
So
what if you have
like
the
parents sign the daughter
or they don't want to
system.
take care of their kid anymore? It's an easy release, because a parent is technically responsible for their kids. If you don't bring your kid to school, you got a truancy officer at your door. So once they sign that paper, they are no longer responsible for their child. And so I've told my daughter, I was like, there is people in it, whether it's Jehovah's Witness or these other cults. There has been people that have been married away to their predator because they got and this isn't just Jehovah's Witness, but so these are things,
happens a lot.
We have a voice. And the thing is, Jehovah's Witnesses don't want you to get involved politically, but there is a need, and changes are being made. Last month, Norway, because the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses community came forward, they lost some of their funding. The government does help fund some of these nonprofit organizations, because they're saying that they're helping people. And so they get like low lending and grants. And in Norway, they didn't change their policy on shunning children, which I'm really against, because their brains are not formed and they should not be getting punished while in their forming years. And so yay for the people that wrote letters and actually came forward as victims. So this is your chance. And
I saw this video that you sent me,
or whatever.
People should check out this video. That's huge. That is huge. That's a huge win for the community.
This is going to be the start of something. And the Michael Pengava case, I loved it. We were very excited. It was a huge win, because this was last month, because these elders hide behind the organization, but they weren't protected. They were personally held accountable for their actions. Now, they did, their sentence was like $1,000, and they got to use community time. I know their community time. They used it to work at the Kingdom Hall. So they didn't really work out in their community. They probably, some guy said they probably organized books at the Kingdom Hall.
Oh, so you punish one of these cult people with community service. They're like, oh, okay, I'll go help my Babaji.
Yes, but
My
the
Babaji's
lawyer
building a
said
new
that
temple. I'll just make that.
it set precedent. So now when the next case comes and the elders say, we're just obeying orders. But you know what? These elders didn't even write down the name. This girl's getting raped. And they didn't even write down the brother's name. And so that just shows the power of this cult, because one of those guys was a school teacher. This is why this case was like, wow. I mean, it just was validating to a lot of the victims in it.
And it's
because
crazy that
you would think a school teacher cares about children, and he had information, and this guy could have been in prison, but instead he was molesting the daughter, or I think that's what it was. So, you know, they could have really saved this girl. And this was one of their own. This was a born recruit. She was a sister.
And it's crazy that they just have the mail-in letter lot. They're like, just mail there's a form and just mail it to us. And it's just all those guys. They don't care.
Yeah, that's going to be, if anybody's interested, that's in the documentary, The Witnesses. It's on Oxygen Channel, and then you can buy it really cheap on Amazon. Yeah, that talks about the database of that Barbara Anderson discovered. And there's pictures, there's people breaking into kingdom halls. And then there was also, I saw on YouTube, some elder or somebody from the top was saying to destroy records, because they write down personal details of sexual whatever of youth and minors, which I feel like there's some privacy, and it's very traumatizing as a kid to have to talk about sexual stuff, and maybe they might be comfortable in front of a woman instead of 3 men. And so, but they said to destroy some records, and there's this floating around, and that really concerns me, because there's people trying to open the law for these or the time frame that these victims, and they have for in some of these states for a short while, not just for the Jehovah's Witnesses, but for like the other cults too. I've heard the advertisements, they're putting this together. So this is a great time. I mean, there's a lot of changes happening right now.
Yeah. This is great. This is like, with the internet, it is time to, it's so interesting with the internet. It's like a time to break down old cults, but it's also like the time that new cults are just being made too. It's crazy. It's like, it's a Wild West for cult leadership.
It's great. I think it's great. The awareness, or, you know, it's just so many things on here. One of the ex-JWs, he was saying, like, you know, he felt like there was racism in it. And, you know, just getting awareness out on these groups that, you know, not everybody's heterosexual and stuff, but we're entering a time that people should be treated fairly without discrimination and being told certain damaging things. Oh yeah, this is the one black guy on the governing body, but
this is is he governing body, or is this just the show?
The governing body. I can't remember his name, but he was, I mean, they were always white, and then we got the one black man.
They had
but
the one.
This are always on TV now. They're on the JW broadcast set, which I see in one of your little pictures to the left of it. That's their newscast station. They give addresses.
This is so wild. So this is how they're doing their service. I gotta make notes.
They get on there, and there is some of the wildest crazy. They really come down on education. I see clips. I can't stomach listening to them, but I'll watch like a clip, and they come down like, oh, this person like went to college and then they left.
No,
witnesses because their parent, you know,
they're doing gossip. They're doing like just Jehovah's Witness gossip on the show. So they're like, the news today. Natalie Grant,
they do their preaching. It looks like a news, but it's like their sermons, and it's only them that give the 8 guys get on there. Yeah,
I love the Christian American hustle and how these businesses are amazing. The old Jim Baker stuff. I don't know if I showed you the Jim Baker stuff last time. He had like one of the first 2 satellites in space. Before it was him and ESPN. They had the first 2 satellites. Jim Baker. I mean, the guy just had the Christian. It was PTL, Preachers Television Network, or like Christian Television Network, CTL, something like that. Amazing. The footage is
I know a
insane.
lot on the, it's ran like a big business. And first of all, they take donations. They even take cryptocurrency on there.
Oh, they're taking crypto.
They take crypto. And they tell
sometimes
people
they
as a
impress
kid,
me,
like,
you
you
know?
can sign your will or your life insurance over there. That's doing God's work. And
This is all God's work.
Yeah. So
Look
this
at
one is
the
interesting
stewardesses.
because this is like Scientologists have their Sea Org people in booths. And so people
they're
on
stealing
the
bits,
internet, they're airline stewardess.
They're
So the
stealing the
Jehovah's Witness
bit.
look is the airline stewardess on these.
Wow. They're saying,
and it's from
oh, you want to go on a
different
cruise
countries.
ship or do you want to fly up with God? We're
Well,
going
yeah,
into
like why? That nobody dresses like that. Why
they
the little
yeah.
You
I
know,
see
I
it.
would see that for like one of the airlines. Yeah. And they have these little booths. They might be like near Times Square or like near a subway in very international areas. And so you come in there and you see people like this. They're like, hello. And they're all happy.
You got to get the best sales
You know, they're
reps.
trying to get Bible study. They're trying to get some new recruits.
Those shorts are very reasonable too. Like I gotta say, they're. You know what? The sales department gets to cut their skirts short. They're like, we got to get the numbers. We got to get the numbers, people. Like that's
Well,
so
one of the
cute.
things, I mean, I was highly trained in it is
You have the
is
sales
the
skills.
unity. You know with which each person you find their weakness, and
Oh
you know,
wow, yeah,
maybe
you got to
they're a
step on them.
minority. It's all about this unity. I mean, I fell for it too because I would love to see a world where there's no war and stuff. And that is, I mean, that's the pipe dream, but that doesn't mean that they have it right. But they use that a lot in their translation and the love for other. And that was a part I liked, but I'm seeing that on the outside. I mean, the JW movement, we're international too. I mean,
Hey, we're international flights right here, taking
and
off
we're also
every day,
aligning with
baby.
other cults too. So, because our battles are the same, and so yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, it's I like the fighting between the cults, but then it is like you're fighting for souls. Like they're fighting for souls. It's interesting. Like they're not upping this 144,000. Like that's a lot. They're really twisting the knife on, like in movies they call it raising the stakes. So everything is so raised stakes with them. It's like like the fire and brimstone. 144,000. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
but you know,
they said only millions at one time. Millions living will never die. Why only millions? We have people than that.
You ever do one of these? You did these?
So they wear these bikes. I see them everywhere. I mean, they're in front of my grocery store. Not anymore because I said something. They were there without permission, but they will be at. It's important to know because
Natalie, you're gonna end up on JW Talk.
Yes.
You're gonna end up on JW Broadcasting. Natalie, this is why they're always making you the Natalie Grand.
Women aren't allowed to, their brains are smaller. That's in my book. They did say that women's brains are smaller than men. So we we would never be on the stage. So
oh no, hey, and then these sales, you don't do the sales? Because this looks
well,
like
we do the peddling, yes, but we do not do any instruction. We do not get any time to instruct the congregation.
Okay, so but you are the sales reps. Like these girls are.
You can be on the sales. You're allowed to do a Bible study.
You're allowed to be a steward.
That's like your own sex. So like if you got like a man or something, you would definitely be with a partner, but then you would have to turn him over, even if he was like ghastly older than you, and you'd be like, this is ridiculous, like you're 20 and he's 80, and they would say that might not be appropriate, and so you would have to turn it over to a brother.
And these are, it does seem archaic compared to some other ones, and I do want to share these numbers. I was actually, it's so nice that you sent me these numbers. It's like as a Hindu, I was like, you know what, we're doing pretty good. We got good numbers. I always knew that our numbers, like human being numbers, were good. But then you sent me these charts.
Yeah, I mean, data is usually not always current, but yeah, this just kind of gives you an idea on this was a little shocking when I came out because I was creating my own reality and I was really surprised. I just thought it was normal for churches to not encourage education for some reason. I thought that was maybe in the Bible or something. So so I was really surprised, and it was validating to know that they're one of the lowest educated people, and education is really cheap here. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
the community
free.
college is, I mean, it was like really
It can be free if you really want it
Yeah.
to be. You can work, even in America, you could get it free. You could get like a state one and you could figure it out.
Yeah.
But look at the Hindu, 43%. All the way there at the top, 43%. And then Jewish, beating out the Jewish people. Well, that's interesting. That's so wild. This is this is what I need to show my mom. I always show my mom stuff that she's like, you stupid.
Yeah, I think you got her. Yeah.
This she'll be like, Mom, look, she'll love this. How did this? Yeah, that's so wild. And so,
but it makes sense because Mormons have their own college. It's
Yeah.
a very good college. That's why I was like,
You
I
see
said
the
before, I
Mormons
would have
are on
rather
it.
been a Mormon to have tools. So yeah, and then the Jews have colleges, Catholics have institutions. Yeah,
Right.
they don't do anything like that for their people, sadly.
So-
And they have the funds. They're one of the richest organizations in the world. And
Jehovah's Witness,
they're
yeah.
not doing anything to help their people educationally.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
you
even
can't
like
run like
during COVID, I was like, why can't they, these are just questions I was knowing, because in other religions, they do things to help, like rent or like locating services, they
Oh, don't be a
give mental
troublemaker, Natalie.
health. And I
You are
don't
gonna
see
end
any
up-
of that.
This is why you're always on JW Talk, Natalie. They're not spending money on any. They are, but and this is the interesting thing, even about all the con artists that we've reviewed too. These scammers, they make it out like they're making so much money, but they're always just barely surviving. And then you see it. It's like the sin doesn't pay.
Yeah.
Like, these are bad numbers. The Jehovah's Witnesses, like less than high school education, they're at 19%. The average is like 4. It's like very high, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of my friends did not graduate high school. In fact, I went to a Jehovah's Witness school.
Wow.
People don't know. I know a lot of things about this. So yeah, I was at a Jehovah's Witness on my freshman year, and it was basically no education. She said, oh, read this. And I guess grading the homework was extra. And, I
Wow.
think my family found out it was a scam. But the weird part is we moved locations, and I tried to get back into this typical public school on my sophomore year. And they said the school was not accredited. And they were like, what? We paid money for this. And I had to redo my freshman year in there from this Jehovah's Witness school. It was ran by a Jehovah's Witness, and it was known, not affiliated with them, but it was known to be. So only Jehovah's Witnesses went there.
Right.
And, you see these things.
So it must be, the numbers must be going down. Like, how are they surviving in these times? These are hard times. You got to be efficient.
Okay, so I saw something on that, and I think it's true. So now they count people as publishers. Now I have a friend that left, and she's not removing her cards because of the backlash from her family, because they'll announce your name. If you
Sure.
remove your card, they will disassociate you. And so so they count her. They count her as if her card is still with them.
Yeah.
They are kind of with it. And then the other counting is a publisher. Now, a lot of these people, they do not go out in service. They may just say the word Jehovah to their kids, and they turn in time. That's very common. I mean,
Well, that's in every religion, though.
That's
in every
a person. So they're finding that a lot of these people, we call them PMOs. They're physically in, mentally out,
Right.
but they're just not removing their stuff, and they're turning in like fake time to be counted as a publisher. And a lot of the time that they say, oh, we spent billions of hours in ministry, a lot of that they get to count up to 8 hours with their kids a month. So that's
called ministry
qualification. Yeah, you can study 4 hours with a kid you want to baptize, and this kid could get baptized, like be studying for ever. And then if you have a family, you count 4 hours. And some said they never had Bible study; their parents were turning in that time, because you have to turn in time. You are not.
Their parents aren't even doing the Bible study. Their parents are just rock and roll. They don't care. They're like, whatever, man. We're getting paid for this Bible study, but we're not going to do it.
Yeah, they don't get paid, but you have to turn in time.
What was I thinking?
Records on everything. They have territory cards, time cards. In England, they write down what language you speak, and they're keeping these records. And in that country, people are trying to fight. And I don't know if they won. I didn't keep track of it since it's not my country, but they don't like that they write down their address and what nationality they are, and they're keeping records. And I think that they might not be allowed to keep records. So Jehovah's Witnesses are writing records about your if they open the door and you say you're Hindu or you speak another language, they send it back to this area, and then they're forming new territory cards based on your speaking language, and we'll send somebody to. So there's records going on about your house, all houses.
Yeah.
And
they have their own census board. They have like a census board.
Did you sign up for that? No. And there's no do not call like what you do with your cell phone.
Yeah.
So we need to, there's laws, there's ex-Jehovah's Witnesses working on that as well, on privacy. Yeah. Well, not them, but the public. The public doesn't want what if they don't want to be known that they are Arabic or something? So they're literally keeping track. And then where does this information go? So people want their rights, these householders. And so people don't know that they're writing records on you and keeping records of who lives at home and what language you speak.
So is that called an individual publisher? Like if you're in the religion, you're called a publisher?
Yes. You're that's like an active Jehovah's Witness. And
so
then
wait, you are the media company. You are part of the media company. So the whole thing's just a newspaper media organization. Yeah. The whole thing's it's
like a pyramid scheme. Well, I don't know. You know what
everyone gets taken over by their sales department. You
get the lower level, they're doing all of these things. And so if they're paying their own gas, and they even have people building, there's construction people, like there's some people that are wealthy and they donate construction materials, their children's time, their own time, their labor crew to build kingdom halls. And then like, in the case of my kingdom hall, it was donated by somebody. So they get some free real estate. And then when it comes time to build the kingdom hall, they have to also pay for it again. There's many years preparation of announcements of they're saying, can you pledge this amount of money? And they're collecting this money. And then when they build a kingdom hall, not only that, they have money at the branch. They give them a loan and there's interest. So they're making money off of the loan. And so this is big business. The kingdom hall is big, and the neighboring congregations, you will pledge money for this kingdom hall bill. And in our case, we never got our kingdom hall. Like we were always hoping to get one in our town. So we paid money for it. And we had a special box that for many years that said for our kingdom hall of like to build another one and all the neighboring kingdom halls, and we never got one. They just said, oh, it's too expensive. But they have money at the top, and even if they bought the land or somebody, they still would give them a loan and make them donate. And then also I hear they have to buy the building materials from the headquarters, like the seats, because some people I saw on this thing, this is all on the internet, somebody was like, they wanted their own seats. They found some cheaper seats, and then it was like, okay, like a chain, like if you open like a Leatherby's or something, or like some kind of In-N-Out burger or McDonald's. It's
like a franchise,
you might have to buy that refrigerator. From that.
You have to work with people in the community. That's like part of the rule.
So they make money off the chain, which is fine because they agree to that when they open the business, and it comes with some perks to be part of the chain, but they do make money off of the chain. And so that's the way they structurize these kingdom halls as well. It's using the chain mentality. So
now that
they don't know. A lot of the people don't know. They're not seeing it. When you study businesses and chains, you see a pattern and you're like, wow, they're doing that from the top, and these people have no idea that
it makes sense how they're operating now. Now that you're telling me this financial side, what's that?
I said, well, I was just wondering, like, why do they have to get a loan from? Why do they have to pay back a loan when this is their own kingdom hall? The headquarters owns like all these kingdom halls, and then they sell a lot too.
Yeah.
So let's say you donate some land, they build a kingdom hall, and then they were selling them. This congregations have no rights. They don't say, they may want their kingdom hall. So what they do is they close them, they sell them, and then they merge them into like a bigger center. But these people didn't get to vote on it or anything. So these are decisions made at the top. And they kept the money. The people do not get the money back that they donated for these kingdom halls. They go towards, they claim it's the worldwide work, and they show a picture like this and say, this is where your donations are going.
Up to God. So this individual publishers, but just tell me, like, what, like, Is it like, okay, you go brainwash someone and then you published us into their brain? Like, what's the publisher? Like,
Yeah, the publisher, it's just a name. They use these old names like Pioneer. They used to use Cole Porter. But
wow,
no,
they're
they're
like, you're a
peddlers.
publisher.
Everybody, it's part of the thing. If they're resistant to it, because I used to study with people. It's about a year or two of
It sounds great.
heavy training. There's questions, and that is part of the thing. They have to accept. There's a couple key questions here. They have to accept that and this is very hard for some, but they have to do it. And they also have to go out in field service to test it. They have to be able to tell people about the good news. So if they were really shy that I can't do it, they're not going to become a Jehovah's Witness.
No, it's like you come in as a sales rep, opening position sales rep. That's it.
It's part of it.
And
then the other thing is do you acknowledge that the light comes from the governing body? Do you acknowledge them? And you can't say that it's from the Bible, because they make changes at the top and they say it's new light. Like they change the dates or the generation. They're changing these timetables.
They say God shined a new light inside the Bible, and it came in.
The light gets brighter. The light gets brighter.
Wow.
And so that's how, but they'll ask, some of these are kids.
They're using loving kindness terminology. So offensive.
I was baptized at 14. So, but they will say, do you, that the information, do you believe that's God's appointed servants, like basically to distribute the food? And so
you're a publisher of God. They must get a lot of authors. It's like, you want to be a writer? Well, you could be a writer, but why don't you be a
publisher? No, not in it. You can't be a writer in it. They don't like you being creative. You have to be verbatim of what if you get caught going off the thing. That's why they don't like I'm sure they were very shocked by my authorship, because this isn't standard behavior. These women don't write about stuff. It cannot be anything religious related.
Natalie, you keep ending up on JWTV sinners. They're saying Natalie Grand again, sinner.
They do, and they warn you not to even go on blogs and stuff. Like, what if you wanted to witness on a blog? They say, the internet is dangerous. You might you're so weak all the time that you might get ensnared. So there's just weird. A lot of warning on your brain.
So next group up is the Congregaation. That's like a location. That's like your franchise location.
Yeah, they're usually in every city. Some cities have like a whole bunch, and then within that Kingdom Hall, they might have 3-4 congregations in that one location. Usually around 100 to 200 people.
And is that a sales team? Like everyone has to be active sales team? Or no?
Pretty much, yeah. So there was 5 meetings when we were young, like Ed said, and some of the meetings are just geared for theocratic. Like, when are you going out in field service? On Saturday morning, it's pretty much expected if you are a school kid or something or after. And then they have groups at night. Now they got a lot of them write letters because of COVID, but they they really want you to meet back together at the Kingdom Hall. And then the women don't get to organize themselves. It's always a brother. And then they do prayer and another little lesson, a shorter lesson. And then they tell you kind of who to work with and what you're going to do. And if you wanted to do your own thing, you really got to do it on the sly and figure it out, because women are not allowed to organize each other. So men are telling you what to do with your day, or who to be in your car. And it is challenging when you have kids, because there may be a creepy person you have a really bad feeling about, and you may have to work with them, and you got to be nice to them. It's not an easy life at all.
They just sign you up.
Very, very difficult. I was a pioneer, and it was a very difficult time trying to provide.
Sorry, where's the pioneers? Is that traveling overseers?
Pioneers, no, those traveling overseers are paid slightly from the headquarters, and they're traveling top tier elders that go to congregations and pretty much crack the whip, and they make recommendations for elders. There's a whole tier to this stuff. So they're traveling over, and they go to traveling overseer school in the headquarters, but they sign a life of poverty too. And they are just traveling all over, and they're really pushing those judicial cases. I mean, I've not quite a bit.
Sorry, I cut you off there. You're saying that as a pioneer, what was some of the stuff that you did?
Okay,
what's
so as
the
a pioneer
level?
Anybody can be so a pioneer, you could be in your local congregation. And then what you do is you have to be, your name gets submitted to the headquarters, and they pray on it. And so you get approved, and some people might not. And so God must have not liked them. But they're
Right.
appointed by God. And so I got appointed by God, I guess. And so,
God is great.
yeah, I was
Okay.
a pioneer. And then after a year, you got to get like 80 to 100 hours, depending on time. And there's other criteria. You got to be at meetings. You have to comment. You have
Wow.
to, there's just a certain lifestyle. And so
You have
I
to
did go to a
participate.
special training school, and the
Wow.
traveling overseer taught us. And it's very intense. I mean, it was like a spiritual high,
Yeah.
basically, but there
But
was
also
a
your
lot
work
of
ethic.
propaganda.
Think of your work ethic. They really shot themselves in the foot with you. They trained you, and now you're
Yeah, I was a trained machine.
a machine now, and you'll destroy them.
I was used on the stage for parts of like life as a pioneer and a mom. And yeah, we were trained to be examples in the congregation.
Congregation. Oh, Natalie, come say a few words. Oh my God. Whoever's above
You
you,
get treated special. You get treated special,
treated
but
special.
I don't recommend it for anybody. It's like a terrible life. It's cold outside. I mean, if you're doing honest work, a lot of them like fudge their time and stuff, but you have to be in like high reputation for this.
That's
so,
wild.
and then people look up to you. I mean, I help study with a lot of women, and I regret. I'm probably like Leah Remini. There's regrets. I've seen some of these people in town, and
wow.
their children,
Natalie, you converted
they're
me.
not going to their kids' birthdays anymore. And
Okay.
one of them had to get marriage counseling. Her husband was not happy that she became a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, no, but you got her. You signed her up.
Yeah, I was helpful in it.
Oh, Natalie.
I was more of a team player. I was at
Fine.
the college. I did a lot of work at the college, and we had like a little stand there. And yeah, I know.
Fine. Listen, you didn't know. You did your. That's what yours. You did your karma's right.
What
You
would
did
have been my
karma's well.
college years? It would have been what my college years were.
Yeah,
So
but now you're
very
doing the opposite
passionate.
work. Now you're
I
doing
really
God's work.
believed the end was around the corner. So,
You
but then
believed it
I
in
saw a
karma.
lot. I learned a lot. I saw a lot of like I just started to get an eye opener on certain things I was hearing with people studying and the way they were being treated. From the organization, and and that's what motivated me, to write the book and stuff, was things that I saw in it.
Yeah. No, now you're doing God's work. I mean, you got to just,
Yeah, these are the territory cards. See, people don't realize these are streets, and there's going to be names. There's do not calls. They got maps. They got computer programs. Yeah, these are things. They just think they're like randomly coming to your door. They are not.
No. There's a system.
They got the gate codes they're written down to people's houses. Yeah, I was right there. I checked out. There's a library. I checked out these cards. I would turn in like one a week. I would hit these are my territory. Those were like my territories.
So these are your territory cards. You go to the and there's a library.
It's very organized. Yeah. You have to cover this. So they'll do like a campaign, there's a couple a year. Yeah. So this is like marketing. There's a campaign.
It's like running a political campaign.
We gotta round these people up.
You could run a political campaign. Someone could run for office. You're the manager of their political campaign. That's what this is.
I did have a politician. I did pass out, and some friends. It was very similar, except for, we were a little night. It was much more fun because it was something I wanted to do. But yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, we were knocking on doors. Yeah, and we have subjects that we talk about, current subjects, or we're in training. Like if they're old or we see this, we're looking for signs, and then we're maneuvering our presentations.
So you go and you go. Are you watching the Amber Heard case? Well, that's an example of sin today, and that means that God's hellfire is going to come down any second. And like they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like you have to stay current on current events or something.
Yeah, you had to be kind of like on current events. You would definitely like the comic. The girl was like, that was me. There's world problems. And I remember people looking at me like, is there world problem? Because in their world, they weren't seeing what I was seeing. So because I was hearing all this stuff all the time, there's violence in the world, and there's rapes and murders, and there's this, and feels very bipolar, but you get this is what, right before you're going out, you're hearing these people need to know there's fires going on. I mean, some people were saying the fires, we have local fires in our area, that was part of Armageddon. And I used to laugh. I was like, how are the fires part of it?
Also, Iraq War, maybe.
Like,
I think they used to tell us about like the Middle East. Like they would show Middle East politics and be like, you see, this is the sign of the end times. They would actually use a lot of, I think, stuff in Israel too, like all that Middle East fighting. Yeah, not Amber Heard, more like bombs are dropping over there or whatever. Yeah. This is wild. Yeah, you could basically run a political campaign. I mean, this is what we have to do now. It's almost like I look at this and it's almost like frustrating as someone who wants to teach and spread loving kindness. It's like you got to work like a psycho, man.
Yeah, well, it's a business. And that's what, when I had a friend that left, and that was for her. Like, everybody has their own thing, but when she saw that it was ran like a business, she was like, I wish people could see it. But that's why, if this information, if it's out and it makes sense, like, then, and they're coming to your door, you might see it more as a business instead of like,
It is very business, though, the way you're describing all this stuff. This person, so Geo Bodega is asking, do they drug the people in the cult? I feel like no. Jehovah's Witnesses.
No, but they don't have mental health awareness, and so like that website you showed, Joe W. Survivor. That's a good resource for people. And it's sadly, there has been some recent people, they do take their lives often when they leave. It is really hard when you're in this cult, because there's literally, you're told not to trust the doctors. They don't really push modern medicine. And so these people are not getting family therapy. They're not, they're being warned that if they go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, that they're going to get in their brain. And they're also suffering shame when they leave. They're an orphan. And so this is a growing website of women that also, they're trying to change some of the laws too for these sexual cases. And I've talked with the lady that runs it, and she's opening it up to any cult survivors or even an abuse. You can tell your story on there. You know, they're just helpful. It's even a mother and daughter. And there's an article about me in there. I'm one of the cult survivors. So I feel very passionate about women. Yeah, and these, I will not stop until I know the children are safe in it, and I really hope that more women, this is a great time, come forward and jump on the wagon and just do a little something. It feels great to be part of this community.
Wow, it's a beautiful community, and they have such good taste, and like it's like this. You could just tell from a website that they're tight. Like, I mean, it's just so well put together.
Yeah, there's things on there about mental health. I saw a link about housing. So it's a growing website, but if anybody wants to support it or add an article, there's been some really good articles just this past week on there about recovery and, the abuse. These people that are in these cults are being mentally abused.
Yeah.
And so, and the ones that are in it, they deep down know the policy. The ones that are deep down, the elders, they know the policy. There's an elder book, but they're not emotionally well. These people that are shunning their family, there's been suicides. I've known of people used to commit suicide. And there's why aren't they giving mental health? So on the outside, there's help. There's people that really want to help connect people to mental health. And so I think it's really important. It's not shameful. They're great tools. Everybody who leaves, there is some period of depression. And you can reach out. I've had multiple people reach out to me, and I'm nothing in the community. So
no, you're big in the community. You wrote a book, like that's big. You're doing God's work. This is great.
Yeah. So this is a great place for people to come, and we need more of this and the mental health. And so, but they don't in the organization encourage mental health treatment. In fact, I mean, many do take pills. I have seen people feel that if they treat their kids, like give them Prozac and stuff or antidepressants, it's an easy way to control them. But that's a very different subject than listening to somebody's orientation or that they're suffering abuse in it.
No, honestly, we were going to have a dating coach come tomorrow, and I was like, let's not, because it's like, and he was even, I was like, no, we want to focus on like cult rehab and like survivors, and it's such a better story. And he was like, and it just doesn't, it's like they're not even there. Like, it seems like you're coming out and it's not even dating. Like, people are thinking about like, what am I going to do now? Like, where do I make money? Or like, how do I, like a lot of people just think like, how do I live without my Babaji, without my guru that was telling me what to do every second?
Yeah, that's, what it's like. It's like the people that I found that come out of the headquarters of like, what is like a labor camp, they're like prisoners. They were made food every day and told, and there's people in it that don't believe in it anymore, but they cannot it's not easy to leave. Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have housing. They bypassed having kids. They missed their window. They were told education's bad. So it is like some of these people, you are not alone. It is like a prison, mental prison for some. So the ones but the beautiful part is it's never too late. There's people that are comfortable talking about being a victim of different abuses in it. And I congratulate them because we need them. And, or there's some that just want to be like a team supporter. My friend that's going to come on, she's a huge advocate, and we've tried, she's a writer too, but it's not published yet, but she would like to help, and she does help the LGBT community.
Jennifer Infantino, she's going to be here in 2 weeks, I think. We have her scheduled. Yeah,
she's very passionate. She's very high energy. Amazing. She was as a youth disfellowshipped, and she was raised as an elder, her father was an elder, and then she also helps with alcohol abuse recovery and mentors people, and she's a parent as well, because I'm trying to put awareness about we are accountable as parents. So I mean, there's just layers of information, because now I was talking with her, we're around the same age. We are now experienced. We've had these things as a kid. Now we've raised kids, and so we're helpful in that department, from a little bit of wisdom, and that we survived. She didn't have support when she did, because there was none of these websites. There wasn't YouTube in the 90s. So she did it all alone. And what's sad is a lot of women go into another abusive, it makes them vulnerable. They go into another abusive, they could recreate it. And so that's what she can talk about or whatever.
They just start dating another psycho. It's like you're out of the call. You're just dating this psycho. Yeah. This girl I know was just telling me she's dating like a guy who's like dating 3 girls at the same time, and like lying to, like they all had to get together and catch him. And then he's like,
oh, wow.
Yeah,
that part too. I've watched a lot of those documentaries on those scam people, and I'm just like, wow, it's kind of the same. It's sad, but so it's all about this awareness, trying to get the information out, and then there's those that are working with the law. So, with me, it's like I put out content. We got people that are content creators. I mean, I'm the first graphic novel, and I try to make it funny and light. But today I had somebody reach out to me. She didn't want her husband to know the purchase. So she wants to send me like a cashier's check or something. I didn't have time to get back to her, but I'm just going to give her the book. I mean, I put a lot of money into this. I didn't do it I have a day job. I have a couple businesses. So, but
listen, the sales skills are coming through on insurance. You have other, Yeah.
But from women to help other women, or if there's I listen to other challenge yourself. I mean, if you were in it and you are homophobic, maybe go get a gay friend, or listen to a podcast, see what they feel like, because I just listened to one and I didn't know there was, I felt sad for the Jehovah's Witness. He was looking to see how to fix himself. And right now, I guess it's illegal in Canada. So I think that's important information. Awareness.
Yeah, that it's crazy that there's all this. These conservators are making such a hoopla about grooming, and I can't find any real case of grooming. And it's like, no, you guys do the grooming. They don't even work. These gay correction camps, they've been around forever. They don't.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, but it was sad. He said he was hoping there was one. So it's like, what did this guy do? So I mean, I'm having to learn some things, but it's like, do you want to be one of those that lives in a box? And what if you have a child like that? What direction would you take? So, and that's when I started to grow up in the cult, that's where my mind started. I don't want to be like these parents. I see really cold, harsh people that are only obeying their guru, and I'm accountable as a mother. This is, they're getting off easy. They're blaming, just like those elders did. They're blaming the information from headquarters, but I personally feel these people are accountable for their actions. And as a parent raising a child, we're accountable to be a better parent. So maybe it's time to do some research or think for yourself. What's a loving thing to do?
It is, like any kind of doing good in the society. Maybe this is my Patel, just like money upbringing, but it just seems like, oh, it's too much work and don't do it. But then when I study these loving kindness teachings, they always teach that like, it's actually always to your benefit to help other people. And if you don't see it, that's the world's illusions. Like the best thing you could do is actually to help other people. Do you feel that?
I absolutely, yes. I feel very passionate about it. It makes me happy. Because I've been a passionate kid. I feel sad that I was like conned by this religion and spent some of my best years in it and made decisions based on them. But there's never too late for change. I've seen on an ex-JDub today, she was 47 and graduated law school. And I'm sure with her background, she's going to be helping other women. And she's not the first one. So I love it. I've seen older people go to college, even in their 70s. Whatever they want to do. They want to write a thing, start a channel, be interviewed, write some letters. Everybody can do something. And I feel passionate about the children. It's the children and the women.
Yeah. It's wild that they canvas, it just makes you feel like, how are we ever going to do this much? I mean, they work so hard, but that is like the love revolution. It has to come back. It's always like chaotic, like they have the organization and stuff like that. I love this clip that you said. I'm going to show some pictures, then we'll watch the clip. But this would happen so much to us when I was growing up, where we'd see like some strict dad, and then they're like I remember one time we were in high school and like bottle gauge meeting a governing body member at the liquor store. This is so good. What a silly guy too. He looks like such a cranky guy.
This is one of the leaders. This is one of the 8 men, Tony Morris. This was a great day in the movement.
This is a good day. This guy's.
This will never go. Yeah, this was the scandal because alcohol and drunkism is not to inherit. It's up there with all
drunkism?
The sins.
Did you say drunkism? They don't even call it like
being drunk is that's a very serious sin. Now
don't
you see tons in it. I never saw so much drinking when I was in it, but still, as the leader of the guru, this was so funny because it was on a Sunday, so he should be at church, but he's almost like in disguise with the trench coat and the hat. But the weird part about this, you probably just don't know because you're a whiskey lover or a whiskey drinker, but that is extremely expensive whiskey, one of the most expensive. And why is his cart being loaded up with it? Because these are people's donation. They're signing poverty contracts.
Oh, man. I thought okay, this is
they totaled up like this. And so kudos to this guy that videotaped him. This
got him
viral. Other movements were talking about this leader because this is the leader. Remember, I talked about Charles Taze Russell. He's equivalent to Charles Taze Russell. This guy is appointed by God as our leader. He's the one writing the Watchtower.
This guy's a top level guy.
Yes, this is the guys that give the spiritual food at the top. And this is his card at Bevmo. I mean, on a Sunday morning of church. I think there's nothing wrong with buying alcohol. It doesn't offend me, but it's just funny that people loved this video. There he is. This is the JDub broadcast.
This is their channel.
Now that guy he's an activist. He's been on TV before on the documentary. Cool. He's Lloyd, but
Lloyd Evans. Sick.
Yeah, but so he put his spin on it. But he comes up with the funnies. There's another one called Pillowgate. I guess there was a talk at Bethel about masturbating with your pillow or having sex with your pillow.
Huh.
So I don't know. It's been a long time, but he coined the thing Pillowgate, and then this was with the gates, like the water stuff.
So the sex funny. Man, that's so cute of that Jehovah's Witnesses like sex scandal is like no sex with the pillows.
Yeah, they call it Pillowgate. Yeah, that's what they're worried about in Bethel is having sex with your pillow.
did they videotape some elder having sex with their pillow, or was it more like they're teaching like
talk? I think one of them they'll talk about tight pants on the man. He makes funnies of it on his. Maybe other people bring it to him as content, but they go viral. I mean, other channels will start talking about it. So. I mean,
right. Yeah, no, I
Tony Morris will never live it down. I would like to know what the people in it think about this expensive booze.
Yeah. And I want to see him preaching because guaranteed now he's going to preach about like only the sinner goes to the bottle.
Yeah.
Only the sinner.
And I think they had clips of them talking about alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This month's broadcast Here are a few highlights of what we'll enjoy on the program. Chickens and Hawks was the second article. It warned about homosexual men who prey on and advocate the right to use boys for sex. Shame on them. It is one thing to work on a job with others and quite another matter to immerse oneself in an institution of learning.
Well, there's so many funny ones, like the stuff
He's
they
talking
say.
about like it's okay. It's one thing to walk through a university, but you cannot engage in their learning. So he's saying like, don't get educated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time. These are all of them. They're all on this thing talking about bad on education.
Hands are not clean because you've been out warning, then they have blood on them, and you're going to lose your life. So this is it. At this point, we're confident to share with you Russia and its allies are the king of the north. Jehovah blesses.
He's good. He's almost got like a Alex Jones. You almost have to have an Alex Jones quality to do this job.
Yeah, we got some characters on there that actually like seem like clowns. Like, yeah, they're just funny. There's a lot of they have different characters that come on this broadcast, but they're always giving talks. But he's like a celebrity. So like if he comes off like the airplane, first of all, they fly first class, but there'll be like banners and like dances. These people are like worshipped, I feel. So it's like the Bedlow scene. That was like, wow, this is like they're like evangelists. So they're trying to get donations. They're preaching.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Enlightened men. So that's why him doing it is like, why is he going to Bedlow buying all of this? It's probably for him and his friends, but they're telling people not to get drunk, but they're supposed to be in poverty, and we're not seeing the poverty buying these expensive bottles.
No, that's good booze.
That is the truth.
He was getting some high-end stuff, right? Oh my God.
Yeah. And they might have been like $400, $300 a bottle or something. But why so many?
Yeah. And like, honestly, just get like
just
if I was
a lot of questions, either he's having like a really cool party or something.
Yeah. I mean, if I was like, when I'm running my loving kindness camp or whatever, like church or whatever, and it's like, we're not just going to waste the money. It's like, do you care about this place? Like, save the money. Like, you got to be frugal. You think they'd be more frugal.
Yeah, a little more discerning. Yeah, then he's like in disguise. It was just funny. It was a funny day.
So weird. I guess as they go up, they're teaching you to be humble. But then, yeah, it's almost like whoever goes to the top, it's like the psycho just rises to the top of any organization. So like the 10 psychos go to the top, they survive, they go to the top, and then they're like, okay, now we just take whatever they want.
And they're being put on pedestals too. So whatever they say, people will do whatever they say now. So they're they've just been like brainwashed to whatever these guys say. So yeah, it's kind of a dangerous situation. It's
no, but it's great that people are raising awareness on it. This is
yeah.
It's so interesting. We actually got so many like 1-minute clips out of our last episode, and I feel like we might be able to pull some 1-minute clips, but also we're actually doing more shorts on the channel too. So we should have some shorts coming out.
Yeah, it's been so nice to have. Yeah, and I can't wait to see more. So that's
really great chatting. No, you got it. I mean, I feel like we can just keep coming back and doing topics. You know what I mean? Like even if we pull up videos and just talk over them. I do like all the stuff that you have from Jehovah's Witnesses. Like that, the content is so tight. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, you just go on the internet. I mean, but it is. But I've studied kind of other cults too. So yeah, I find it interesting. It's just like what makes these people tick. So, but I know I'm not alone. There's a lot of others, but it's important. It's important work. So
it is. It's God's work, and you're
laws and things and funding and shell companies and you just start going down the rabbit hole. And a lot of people that leave, they're like, wow, there's just so much stuff there. It's like their minds being blown.
It's so good. Yeah. It's like so much better than the news or something. Like it's so interesting, and it's just thousands of people are in it. It's interesting, and then it is in that same way. It's like so nice to talk to people who are like, oh, thanks for talking about it. The comments have been really great, where people are just thank you for talking about it. Thank you for raising awareness on it. That's great. That's like. The culture needs more of that, more people being like, I'm out. Here's an example of it. And it's been a good life.
They're
And
around it. I mean,
it's
even for my own kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people are buying it for their grandkids, for their own kids, because, you know, it's about cult awareness.
It
And
is, yeah.
so,
And it's
um,
like very sex positive, like awareness for, you know, it's really good for anyone who even grew up in a repressive culture. And then there's so many like stories and lessons in the book about like how these elders are shaming you. I was saying even the other one that you texted me, I was saying like it is so like being an being in an Indian family, because they're just like following you around when you're dating and
do
stuff like
they?
that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, they do. People don't say that. I mean, they don't realize that because the robots in it say, oh, they don't follow people. They totally do. Everybody
Yeah.
I talk to, they're hunted out. People were hiding practically around behind trees. In my case, I was getting certified letters. You can't just
Certified
leave
letters. What does that mean? They send you
They
like
were
an
trying to
official-
force me into judicial meetings to
they're
meet
like,
with them. They just can't give
wow.
you like a time to breathe, you know. And
Natalie
you are
Grand, we
looking
saw
over your
you.
shoulder.
Excuse
I was
me.
like, are they gonna come out? Yeah, that's what happened. They came around a corner, and I was like, where did they come from? Their car was not out front. So they hid the car and came to my door, and they scared the crap out of me and my roommate.
God. Wow. Oh, so they just snuck up on you like you weren't
They
on a
hunt
date
people
though.
down. They absolutely do. There's been other women in it. They'll find you have cards, and they will investigate to
cards?
find your. So your card, your identity follows you. You can't just like say, I'm going to live in Florida. I live in California, live in Florida and start my new life as Jehovah's Witness. No way. They have to know they will not trust you. You have to come with a letter of recommendation. So your reputation follows you, and there's a publisher card that shows like where you were when you were baptized. And that's the same thing with the headquarters. That's why you can't just get an investigative journalist in there. It has to be somebody that's a mole, because these people are vetted for and tracked their whole life since they were baptized.
Yeah.
And so, and you can't just say, I'm going to go to Florida and I'm going to be very zealous. They could literally years of work put into being a Jehovah's Witness and working on your reputation. They could put a nasty thing on there. Like one gay guy, I heard a couple, he could never told the elder he had these gay feelings, because if he told one person, that could be on a letter and he would never progress. Or maybe it was yours. Maybe it was your channel. But I mean, that's how these things work. So this letter and transcript, there's a transcript. So people don't realize. So yeah, that's what. So if you go somewhere and your they might be calling your family and saying, where's your publisher card? Where's his publisher card? And then they're sending letters and say, if you don't meet with us and fly back and meet with us, we're going to disfellowship you in the hall. And then the family's going to know. And there's a lot of gossipers. And
yeah.
So yeah, it's culty.
That's called, yeah, it's culty. It's so strange. And it is so strange to see grown-ups like this guy's bald.
Behave this way.
This like grown ass man, he's bald. It's like, dude, you're hiding behind a tree
It
to go
felt
catch
so
someone.
creepy. It was like being harassed.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was being hunted down like a wild animal. You don't know when they're spying on you. And I talked to another lady recently. She was having her ex-husband had a PI investigator. And, you know, it's not uncommon that an elder might be there as a witness. I mean, they're keeping documents and tracking a lot of their people. So it doesn't feel good.
No, okay, no, it's not.
It's away. You can't, not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, as you're saying. Yeah, like,
some are able to, but in my case, they were like they were really trying to meddle in my life and stuff.
Wow.
And then I did try to get reinstated. I did struggle with, I wanted to clear my name for my family because there was pressure, but they wanted to study with my kids, my older kids, and that's what held me back from.
oh my god. So they're
and I
like,
said
oh,
no.
you
I
forgive.
said no. And they
Yeah.
said I had a bad attitude, and they said I wasn't spiritually qualified to teach with my children. And so I said, yes, I am. I was a pioneer. I know how to. And I was like, I don't fall for this crap. It's just like red flag. And they said, we want to take them to ice cream, but they didn't want me around. And I am not offering my children
Come on.
in there I don't
They're like,
know
let
these
us get
men,
them
and I don't
alone.
trust them. These are the same men hiding behind pillars.
Yeah. So they
congregation.
just want to be alone with your kid. They're like, hey, you want back in? We need 2 hours alone alone with your kid. We need
And
to
they were already going
brain
through a
work.
lot. I don't need them. I don't know. They don't know me. So it's like, I want to know what they're putting in my kid's head. Yeah. So that was,
That's
but I
wild.
had a bad attitude and I was trying to shield it. Like I had to be respectful. But this is normal. This is all normal. If your kids, that held me back because they were not being taken to them. They want to count time on them. They want that as a born recruit. See, this is all about the numbers. It's all about
it's
this
the numbers.
recruiting process.
Yeah.
It's not
But
what's best. What would be best as a kind person would say, I said, please, I've been coming back a year. My sin was getting married and I didn't have any scandal in my previous marriage, but my sin at that point was not having the kids, and a loving thing. I was like, let me back in. I want back in, and I'll bring them to the meetings and they'll be under my care. But
like,
that's
no,
too logical. That's too nice.
that's normal. They're like, no, we need alone time with the kid.
And that's what the best, like even in the foster system, they think that the kids are best. The judge usually feels that the best care they'll get if their parents don't have like some problems or something is with their parents. So because they love them. And so it's like, why? You don't love my kids. I love my kids. And so it's like, why would I turn my kids over to you? They said they wanted to take them to congregation activities. It was a couple of different meetings. It held me back. So awareness to people.
Yeah. Couple of
Red
different
flag.
meetings.
Not saying that they would have done something, but no mother should. You have to be. This is for any situation.
Yeah, you have to be when your
advocate
kids are
for your
there.
children. Yeah, protect your children. It's your job as a mother.
No,
or
you
a father.
can't. In today's culture, like I think last generation it was okay to just, oh yeah, take my kid. It's like, no way.
Yeah. Like
That- like-
interview them. No, I mean, it's fine. Like with some people, they feel comfortable with a coach or a tutor thing, but at least you're picking those people. I don't know these men, and they are those men hiding behind trees and hunting me down. I mean, are
Yeah.
these people I would trust? Absolutely not. So
Honestly, I hate to say it, but the biggest sinners are with these spiritual organizations. I would trust my kid, of course, with the soccer coach, like those,
Yeah.
and I'd check, like I'd be like,
You
hey,
might
Jen,
know
you can
them,
snap
or
them, like,
yeah.
in the app. Soccer coach makes sense. Music coach makes sense. Spiritual teacher, I'm the spiritual teacher. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, but the light comes through me.
And they
My
didn't want
kid.
me around. I'm not allowed, as a disfellowship person, you're not allowed to go to this stuff. So that meant I'm not going to be there.
Oh,
I'm not
come
allowed to
on.
be there. Yeah.
And just send the kid?
So what other mothers would? Now, if I was desperate to get reinstated, that is the conditions I had to do. And I'm not going to leave my kids
Yeah.
alone with strangers. I may be with somebody else that I trust, but I didn't trust them. That's a bad parent. So
That's bad
I'm picking my
parenting.
kids.
You can't leave the kids with
It's just like
spiritual.
crazy. Yeah. And these
It's
are
not
the
even
same men
JW. It's like
hiding,
any
sending me
spiritual
letters.
organization. Yeah.
Telling me I have a bad attitude. I'm like, I've seen bad attitudes. That's being a good mom.
Oh, they send you a letter, eh? They send you like Natalie Grand.
Yeah, before I came
Wow.
in. Yeah, when they just fellowshipped me. Yeah, they sent
Wow.
me a letter. I have to show up at a certain date. I cried,
Childbirth.
I was like, I'm getting married. I'm trying to live this life or whatever, but that was really bad to them. I mean, you're not allowed to marry out of the
Yes,
thing.
and you married an Iranian. You went to Iran.
Yeah.
God bless you. That's
Yeah.
great. I mean,
our
you
life
got
is
that's
great. Our life is great. I mean, I'm pretty happy. So I encourage all to live the life you want to live. I mean, don't let these people decide what's good or bad for you.
Yeah, 100%. And so then, one of the things that I find that they all have, and that like I do feel like the culture is lacking. Like there does seem to be high mental health issues right now. Like there's really high numbers for depression and anxiety, and people don't know what to do, just for the general population. And it seems like, okay, so if all these spiritual institutions are gone now, are we supposed to be organizing things for people to hang out? Like there is, of course, there's like, you have the programs that you have, which are like, get out of abusive situations, get out of like, there's all this stuff that was on that, all the programs on that website.
Yeah.
But then like support group. Oh yeah. So the support group gets together and does stuff.
Yeah.
That can be like a
fun.
congregation. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like with this, you can pick and choose. Maybe somebody doesn't feel comfortable on this subject, but still, like if you feel passionate about the marriage laws or like children's education, then bark that tree. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
pick and choose. And that's the beauty of the world. We all should be doing that, like picking and choosing what we want. And that was kind of from the cult psychology book is, I like to read other things, but I don't believe everything I read. I like to pick and choose, and I'll recommend a book. And
yeah. Think for myself.
I use my brain now, and it's part of college. Like you learn to look at things and you're like, I can learn this, but you realize that every piece of writing, even if it's the Bible, was somebody's like perception. And
Yeah.
so you might look for patterns in writings or this, and then you start to grow and, get wiser as you get older.
Yeah, no,
But I
and I
think
was
it's really
saying,
stupid to say, oh, this one professor, I believe everything he says. I think he brings something to the table, but that's part of protecting. Like Ed was on there. I am on high scam alert, and my alerts will go off really easy right now. There'll be things, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, that reminds me of it." But because I become a wiser person, I've learned how to train my brain. That's a red flag. Like with that elder, I was like, no.
yeah. No, you're not going to get alone time with my kids. Yeah, no, that's great. I was saying last time with Ed too. Yeah, that like there's almost like a wisdom that you have because you've broken out of one brainwash, so now you see any brainwash out in the culture.
Yeah, you'll see the patterns and the psychological. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There
And then
is
people are in it for different reasons. They may have a Stockholm syndrome. I mean, I was just learning about that. There was a show about Stockholms, and I was like, wow, I could see that even in the cults too.
Oh
You
yeah,
start
that's
to
definitely at work
empathize
there.
with and that's a condition. And so it's just recognition. You may see maybe that person's acting that way. And it's sad that some people were capitalized on. They may want unity in the world, and that was taken, or some may have invested a lot of time in it. And so to leave that, they're leaving a part of themselves. And
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
a tricky thing too. But it's like, should you stay in an abusive relationship just
No.
because, it's like a low self-esteem thing almost. Like,
It
they
is,
would
and
have to acknowledge that they wasted half of their life in something like that.
oh yeah. You just get tied in. It is actually time in on something. Like your time
They
investment is
invested
like
a lot in it. Yeah.
yeah. It's like one of the number one things that makes you stay in it a lot or like
Yeah.
stick to it a lot. It's just like, well, I've spent 5 years, so I just keep going.
Yeah. And the routine, it's like an inmate, a lot of them, they have to be, after they leave prison, they need to go through some kind of like training to acclimate back to the world, because otherwise they're going to be right back in because their food's being made for them.
Right.
And it's like a process. So yeah.
So then what else is there? I actually took Stephen Hassan's cult
I
training
love
class
it.
or cult awareness class on Udemy.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I know he does a lot of things. I've just read his 2 books. I
It was
did
like
reach
$20.
out to him after one of them, and
Yeah.
gave him some emails because I really appreciated his cult awareness. I feel like he brought so much.
Yeah.
And he's the one that opened my eyes that there was patterns in these religions, and that the psychology was so important.
So important, and he has a checklist of what makes a cult, and like it was a great class actually. It was like
Oh, that is good.
it was like $15 on Udemy, and it supports me
good.
because I got the book, and the book is so interesting too. I can't believe you joined the Moonies. The Moonies was such a
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah, that was fascinating. That was really fascinating. So I really recommend that book for anybody's journey.
Definitely.
And I feel like it's very important when you leave something like that to prepare empowerment, because then it won't happen again. And you're trying, like in my family, I'm 3rd and 4th generation Jehovah's Witness on both sides. So I feel like, this was humongous to try to break this cycle. This is something people couldn't do. And when I see others out, I'm like, you just broke a cycle of like 3 generations.
That's great.
That's a pretty big accomplishment, instead of being so down on yourself. But we all agree you have to like read, or like, like some of them like the Buddhism, or they'll get into other things. And it is very important to not to be fearful of the world so much. Like if you train yourself, it's okay. You can open your mind, but then not to maybe get too close to something, or it's not a scary place after you start to educate yourself.
yeah, it's not bad. Well, even Ed, who was on last week, he has his own like wealth, like how to think about money system, and I think I'll post a link to that one as well. You have the book, like Sarah Landry, we're talking about writing an animated show. We got to tell you about it. It sounds very funny and very good for the culture. I think it's great. what you're doing. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. And I have a link to Cult Girls in the comment section. So make sure everyone pick that up. Great book. It's so well made. And we showed some comics from it on this episode as well. But it's fantastic work and so important for the culture. Thanks everyone for coming. Yehuvi, Mac23806, Janet V. Johnson. So many people are here. Jay Gabru, thank you. J Lo Bodega, thank you. Yeah, pick up Cult Girls. It's a great book. It's fantastic. Digital Solutions Media. Digital Solutions Media, you should sign up for Cult Rehab. Make sure you come on. You know, everyone should come on. It would be great to hear these stories and tell more people about it, because yeah, it is like, I feel like it feels so much better than just talking about the news, you know, like it's such interesting stories and so fascinating and so just out of the ordinary. It is.
Well, it's fun to come on your show because many are just in their own community, the XJW community. So the more we get out and collaborate with the others, I think that's more unique. So you're actually doing something very unique. And a lot of them are like, let's get out, learn about the other cults, because that's important too. So thank you. You're bringing us together. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I hope I can do this community justice. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Next week we got Chris Robinson on. He's a comic, but he was also in Jehovah's Witness, and he's a black dude, which I was shocked. I had no idea that they would get other people. But I mean, hey, we had a Hindu go into Scientology on our first episode too, that you were on. So you know what? You never know. There's all kinds of people. Yeah. Very interesting. We're signing up for Cult Rehab. And then also we're starting another show on the channel called Public Forgiveness. Because, yeah, I do want this channel, this digital ashram, this Church of Loving Kindness to be other activities. Because it does feel like, even more as I talk to people who are out of cults, but even other people I know that are just depressed and like just don't know what to do with themselves. They're like, I wish there was stuff to do. And it's almost like you got to organize those events. So yeah, come to meditation.
No, you really did help. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, no, make sure you subscribe to the channel, tell all your friends, buy the book, and we'll see you next week. Peace.